0, we will be in the show. See, I know we haven't done this in a while.
It's been like we sat down.
It's been a long time.
First of all, hi.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so we had a little bit of an interesting night, and I think there's a bunch of people who don't actually know who we are this time. So I think we should start with maybe a little introduction.
Definitely.
First of all, you are at Syman Says Farms right now. And I am Liz. This is my husband, Aaron.
Hello, hello. Welcome all the new people that are streaming in on over from Homesteady.
And this is Stella.
Yes, that's Stella. And as we go throughout the night, you'll notice Stella does have her own camera. This is hers. But she's not really
you're not really performing for this.
She's not sitting close to her Stella cam.
She's had a long day.
She
Lots of baby goat snuggles is happening today on the farm with our store open and all the babies enjoying their time with their visitors. Stella's tired too. She has a lot of snuggle times that she does.
So for those of you that don't know, we are a goat farm and we don't make cheese and stuff like that. We make soap and lotion and a lot's going on in the past couple of weeks, but that's really not what we're here to talk about. But we opened a store. We have people come to the house and do like goat yoga without the yoga, things like that. And Stella's been outside with the goats all day. She's exhausted.
We're a little tired ourselves, but
a little.
Tonight is actually really exciting. For those of you who have been along on this crazy journey that, we've been doing the last couple of years, our villagers, you all know that we have a new endeavor that we're getting into. And those are our little piggies that are coming. Yeah. They were supposed to be here last week, but we'll tell you why they're not here yet. They're not here yet because winter decided to come back to New England.
Yes. And it snowed. And we'll talk about this with our special guest. For those of you that may or may not know, we're bringing Aust on from Homesteady. I've personally been following Homesteady. Oh, my gosh. 3+ years.
So, yeah.
I almost want to say 4. We knew them
way back when.
But then he's going to tell me, hey, it hasn't been 4 because I haven't been doing this for 4. But I don't know. It's been a long time.
I remember when they hit 50,000 and we gave them a big hey, 50,000, because that's kind of like our dream.
Our dream is 50.
I don't feel like I'm going to make it. I don't feel like we've made it as YouTubers until we hit 50,000. Then I'm like, okay.
Cleaning the glasses. YouTube doesn't consider you big until you hit 100. These days, for that play button. Yeah. Which
hashtag goals.
Hashtag our guest has one. Somewhere.
Not oh gosh, he's gonna get it, isn't he?
He's gonna get it. I think he's gonna get it. No.
Okay, so anyway, we want to welcome everybody. This is normal for us, by the way.
Yeah, normal. It's very chaotic around here. And yes, I got fired again. Probably today or yesterday.
No, you know what? You've been on a roll.
I have been on a roll.
I have to say, I don't think I've actually fired him since
the day you went to do the barn and there was no hay.
Oh, that was Thursday.
Thursday. Okay. So I got fired on Thursday. Yep. She went to go do the barn. There was no hay available.
Wait a second. You're not telling the whole story. No hay, no grain, no alfalfa.
Well, wait a second. Let's be clear. There was grain. There was alfalfa. It was just all in the bags and not in the bins.
And in the garage.
Okay. True. It was. So.
And he hadn't raked House of Pie floor in a month.
I haven't raked in a little bit. Yeah.
It's fine.
So we do have a couple moderators in the house. They're there to help everybody stay in line. We don't really do capitals. We kind of, our questions have question marks on them. Things like that. They'll help you out. They'll drop some links as we go. Our moderators are awesome. They're actually positioned all around the world. So we have
somebody's watching pretty much 24/7 in our goat barn, which if you're not familiar with, we live stream our goat barns. We have 2 barns. We have the Cassie's Castle, which is the baby barn right now. And then we have House of Pie, which is our teenager / retirement home. Oh, that sounds terrible. Let's put a bunch of teenagers with a bunch of retired people.
That is kind of what we did.
Anyway, which Cassie's Castle and House of Pie, they got their names, everything has a story around here. So if you're interested, head over there. Watch the goats live, learn them, their little personalities, and they'll suck you right in because it's like a time warp over there.
It is. And that's kind of what this channel is all about. It's our live Q&As. It's the live goat barn and stuff like that. And then we decided because of the YouTube algorithm to separate the 2 channels, and any videos that we pre-record whether it's family life, vlogging, all the pig stuff from building the pig pen. That's all coming out. The type of grain feed we're going to use for the pigs, that video is already made and coming out. That's all going to go on our other channel.
That's where we try to look professional.
We try to look like we know what we're doing.
Okay.
But this channel, it's all about live. No, not sugar coated at all, just real. I mean, I was literally eating my dinner like right before we came on. You know, we'll show you behind the scenes if you want to see it. You know, you can see the whole studio. Like, this is us. We took over this bedroom, and I forgot to turn that light on.
That's all right. I think
we look okay.
I think we still look okay.
I think we look fine. I just noticed that. There's so
You know why we don't need it?
Why?
Because we have suntans.
You're right. No other sunlight coming in through. So that's what we do. So let's stop wasting time, and we're going to get rid of
what
that
we're
banner.
actually here to talk about, We're going to
go over to these banners too, and we're going to put up this one. And
Homesteady is in the house.
And we're going to welcome off to the show.
Hey, guys.
Hopefully we can
hear
them. We can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good mic?
You didn't give me the microphone one.
I don't think I did. No, but I'm going to turn up the volume here. You can hear?
Yeah.
You're good?
I got
How about the village? Everybody in the chat, can they hear everyone?
Hey, villagers. Hey, Homesteady peeps.
They're coming in. We saw some Homesteady peeps waiting early. They were early. They were on time.
I told them we wanted to break the stream, guys. I said, let's go break that stream.
So it's funny, during our Q&As, we can average 200 to 300 during our. Now we're live streaming this to 3 places at the same time.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people probably don't realize. We're streaming to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch all at the same time. And we have a grand 1 person on Twitch watching us. Thank you, Chris, for watching us on Twitch. I guarantee you it's Chris.
You know, I love, though, that we can tell, like, the Homesteady crew's in the house because they have Homesteady names.
Oh.
Like, they are, you know, Jones Family Farm, and there was another one. Careth Acres. Like, they have Homesteady names. Like, they have their own little things going on.
Yep.
It's really cool. Yeah.
They are. So welcome to the show. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm super excited. I always have fun time with you guys. Kay said to me before, she said, "You nervous?" I was like, "No, it's Liz and Aaron. I'm going to have fun."
Right. Oh, yeah. No, don't be nervous on this show.
No, there's nothing to be nervous about because our standards are really low. So,
if anything, I'm nervous because you're going to be like, you're doing pigs all wrong.
Listen, okay. So we've talked about this before, how, like, we can talk to you about pigs and we could talk to somebody else a week from now about pigs, and y'all have different practices, and that's fine because what works for you doesn't work for somebody else. What works for somebody else won't work for you. So you have to just gather information and then find what does. Oh my gosh, look at us.
I found the button.
Wow.
Wait, we can see again. Oh, there we go.
And then we could just gather. So it's really like gathering information right now so that we can make the best choices for what will work here.
Right.
And you know, every one of our homesteads, every one of our farms is in different places. We all have different lifestyles. Some of us are doing this full time. Some of us are part time. You know, we've been sharing our journey, you know, for years between the podcast, and you were 4 years plus, man. So it was a good number. Yeah.
I think you were sitting at about the 30,000 mark when we found you. It was somewhere around there.
Well, it's been a journey, and you guys will be. It gets quicker and quicker. The subs grow quicker and quicker, so you guys will be there. You'll get that play button before you know it. But
right.
Yeah,
if we do, it'll be like right here. Right?
You know, I never even showed it on the channel. I planned.
There he goes.
Yeah.
It didn't work. Well, are we there?
Yeah. Yep, we're still here.
We're here. There was a little glitch. I think
that's okay.
I think, you know, it happens with the Wi-Fi sometimes.
Homesteading internet. Homesteading internet.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, the struggle is real.
So let's go way back.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell. So we started with chickens.
Our gateway
livestock. We started with chickens, and then our second was goats.
We hopped right from chickens to goats.
And then to raise meat and get closer to our food, you had chickens, obviously dual source, right? Eggs or meat. Now we raised the cow once, right? We skipped right over the pig thing is my theory here. Like we were like, oh, they're too hard. Everything we read, too hard, they're loud, they're messy, they escape, like all that kind of stuff. So we just skipped it and went straight to raising a beef cow.
Well, we went in on a pig.
We did.
Somebody
with
else
a
raised it, but like we would bring it food and kitchen scraps and leftover milk that like our goats, whatever, it soured or we just literally couldn't use it.
Right.
And we would bring it over for our friend who was raising these pigs. And so at the end of the season, we got a pig.
Yep.
But I was always really nervous about raising our own pigs because I had read so much about how they can like destroy their house if you don't build it right. And they like to root and like with the grass and everything. And so we just were like, no, I don't know. But then I really, really love bacon. So we are, and COVID hit, right? And most people were like, hey, now's the time to get chickens or now's the time to get into the goats that we've always wanted. Yeah. Well, for us, it's like we did ducks, which I've always wanted ducks, and we raise those for eggs and meat. So it's another protein source for us. But we actually accidentally decided to do pigs because we had a concrete pour that we were doing in our goat barn, like in the milking area. And the truck had a few extra yards of concrete. And the concrete guy was like, hey, do you have a place for us to pour this concrete?
So I asked him, I go, how much concrete is extra? And our hay barn, we had a hay shed. It built out of like one of those.
Like a carport.
Like a carport built out of the big tarps. It blew down like 2 years ago. So there was this spot that was like perfectly level, already all crushed stone.
There's already a pad.
There was already a crushed stone pad.
It was meant to be. You guys were meant to have pigs.
I literally go to the concrete guy. I go, how much extra crushed stone? I mean, how much extra concrete? And I do the math quickly, and I jump on YouTube, and I watch your pig videos, and I watch this other guy's pig videos, and I'm like,
well, the truck is sitting there spinning.
And then pretty much on the way.
Well, and we're
we
need cedar posts.
He said he will be there tomorrow, but he's going to have an extra like 2 yards of concrete or something.
Oh man!
So I'm like, okay, 16 feet by 8 feet. How many pigs can I put in 16 by 8 concrete pad with posts in it and everything? And I did a whole bunch of research, like University of Kentucky style research.
Like how many pigs can we put in?
And I'm like, oh, they're saying I could fit 6 pigs in here. I'm like, nah, we're only going 4.
Yeah.
So we're raising our pigs on a concrete slab that's 16 feet by 8 feet. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a picture, but the videos are starting to come out on our channel. And it's got 5-inch, like massive posts that are dug into the concrete.
You guys built what we used to have. Oh man, it's perfect.
Okay, and that's where I was gonna go.
So like, what was your first? So there's a question. Okay, first, like, what did your setup all look like when you first got into pigs? And then if you could go back and talk to yourself now after doing pigs for how many years have you been doing it?
Oh man, we've been doing pigs longer than almost anything.
I was just going to ask, what was first, chickens, then pigs?
Chickens, chickens always first, right? You always start first chickens.
The gateway,
Pigs were like year 2 for us, and we've been homesteading now almost a decade. We've probably been doing pigs for 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
And now we did take a couple of years off in the move. When we moved to Pennsylvania, we wound up taking a couple of years. But, those in the chat who've been watching our recent live stream, they know. We just actually got another gilt. We're getting into some more breeds. Mm-hmm. We're back into pigs big time.
Cool.
But it's cool.
Breeding pigs.
Yeah. That was going to be one of my follow-up questions too. Like if you could go back and give yourself advice, 7 or 8 years ago for what you know now, what would you have done differently in the first couple of years?
We were really fortunate, guys. When we decided to get pigs, I was making a bunch of phone calls trying to find a source of pigs. And I'm not big, we say this a lot on the channel, we're really not big into the whole Craigslist animal thing for the most part. Yeah. You can find some gems. If you know what you're looking for, you can do pretty good. But if you're a newbie and you're like, I don't know what's healthy, what's not, we try to avoid the Craigslist thing the first go around. So we were trying to find a farm that would help, would be able to source pigs for us and maybe answer some questions, because I never had them, obviously. And Kay, who grew up with goats and other things, She had never had pigs before, so it was totally new for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
We wound up finding a guy in Connecticut, and Tom Dexter. I always talk about Tom. He was my original pig mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Tom's. I called him up. I said, "Hey, I heard from somebody got some pigs. You guys got a weird sound happening, or is that just me?"
No,
I don't hear anything.
He's like,
I don't know.
That thought.
I don't know if the village hears it. I don't think so.
All right.
I don't think so because I think we're hearing what they're hearing.
It's gone, so we're good. Yeah. So anyway, I called Tom up and I said, "Hey, I heard from somebody you got some pigs, and I want to get some pigs." He said, "Have you ever raised pigs before?" "No." "Okay. Yeah. Before I will even think about selling you pigs, you got to come to the farm, and you got to take a tour." So I was like, "All right, I'd love that. Cool. I'd love to come see what you got. I'd love to see the setup." So we went to Tom's, and Tom is a commercial big pink pig raiser, Yorkshire landrace crosses. They're the big pink piggies, that you picture in the old McDonald's farm. Not a lot of hide on them, not a lot of hair. Just big pink piggies, big fat. And they're actually a cross. They're Yorkshire landrace, and he even would bring in a little bit of Berkshire to kind of develop the hands a little more. But Tom gave us a tour of the place, and he said, "This is what you need to succeed with pigs in the beginning." And our hope was to actually start a business where we were selling pork. So he said, before you start doing that, before you go big or anything, start with just a couple pigs. And what you should do is you should have a concrete pad. You should have your fencing and your posts down in that concrete pad. Feed your animals on the concrete. Put their structure. Have a 3-sided with a roof structure for them. Yep. Give them hay. Give them a good quality feed. And we were coming to this as homesteaders who, we want to have pastured animals and we want them out on the grass, and nature fixes everything, and we had big dreams and big goals. And Tom was like, "Listen, I got no problem if you want to let your pigs walk around in the field. I got no problem if you want them eating grass, but pigs are pigs. They're not ruminants. They can't just eat grass. And if you're having them out on the pasture, it's harder you're going to have more worm issues with your pigs. You're definitely going to have more escape problems." He said, "Start them on concrete, have the escape-proof pig pen, and then go from there. Experiment, learn, do whatever big dreams you got, but start where you know this is going to work." So I listened to him. Although we've come to this homesteading life with like big dreams and we want to do everything as close to nature as possible, I try to always listen to a good mentor, because why go to a mentor if you're not going to listen to him? Right. So we poured a 16 by 16. I think it was 16 by 16 pad with we had goat panels, or maybe goat panels recessed into the concrete, posts in the concrete. And we put the little structure there, we put the feeder there, and we got 2 pigs in that space. And the first year, that's where they were their whole life. They had a pile of hay. We were bringing garden scraps and weeds to them, and dinner scraps, and then we were feeding them a good quality pig feed. And I loved it. They never escaped. They never caused any trouble. And you guys are talking about how scary it is to have pigs. Meanwhile, I'm thinking goats. Goats are the hardest animal to keep from escaping. So.
Hold on a second, because
hold the bus here, because I just watched your last live stream. Right, and I don't know if your daughter's watching. But we've got plenty.
Oh my God,
we've got plenty.
We got a lot of cuteness around here.
And I know La Mancha made the list. We've got a couple here that your daughter would be all over, because La Mancha's was on the list from your last live stream.
Got really cute La Manchas.
Yeah.
This is breaking here first. Haven't said this anywhere. Those who came from Homesteady, this is all I'm going to say. We're just going to show that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that later.
I do recall, though, an interview where you said, "I will never have goats again."
Yeah, but his wife corrected him. Never say never around animals and kids. It doesn't work.
Oh, I know. I said I would never make soap, and miss,
I will never make goat milk soap.
Right, and look at all my soap.
And look at her now. Right
now, you got a farm store. You're selling soap.
Oh my gosh!
Beautiful store, guys. That came out.
Thank
really
you.
Nice.
Thank you. Nice. Yeah, that was one of those things where once the town said we were allowed to have this, right, which was a year in the making.
Connecticut.
Then we,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then we essentially had a month to get it from looking like a chicken coop that used to house 200 chickens
Yep.
to what you saw there.
Yeah.
And we also birthed out 16 babies while doing that.
And went almost every day on YouTube during that process.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which that in
Yep.
itself's enough. Yep. We've done that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, we're back to every other day now.
Yeah.
That's like a vacation. Every other day, so much
Yeah.
easier.
So
Yeah.
now, like with the different breeds of pigs, right? How many
Yeah.
breeds have you done over the last?
So I don't know if you finished though his
Oh, so
cement
sorry.
story.
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
yeah,
Cement,
I mean,
like everything
your
was
guys'
good.
setup is great. It worked fantastic. Now, of course, we do come from the kind of, the homesteader movement. Tom's got a
Right.
real commercial hog setup. Tom
Right.
does some
Yeah.
things that we didn't really want to do ourselves as far as like,
Mhm.
he's a huge operation. He's got to do some things different than us.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome source of information. He's always been a great mentor. And anybody in Connecticut looking for pigs, I'll hook you up with Tom's number. He had a bad year. I guess he had a
where's
bad
he
problem
out of?
breeding. I think he's around Bristol, Tom.
Oh, okay. Because we
Yeah.
went to a guy down in the Waterford area, so that'd be
Yeah.
like the Rhode Island side of Connecticut.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a pig operation. I mean, they're
Yeah.
like two or three generations family pig
Yeah.
farm. Like
Nice.
that's what they do.
Now we're
So-
getting some crosses.
Now you have it in your
Cool.
phone, all the different. I
I tried
texted
to
you.
find the
I
crosses.
texted to you.
Yes, that's the problem. Is you keep
So-
texting me then,
So
and then I lose it.
this is where we don't really know. Like, I mean, this might sound funny, but we're getting 4, and we're keeping 2, but we've got 2 other families helping feed the other
Nice.
2, and they're
Okay.
taking those 2. So we'll
Nice.
have 4 here total.
So, he said that they have Berkshire, Hampshire, I think.
Yep.
I'm gonna probably butcher some of these names because I'm not up on my pig breeds. Is it Duroc? Duro Duroc. So that's what they have for their boars, and for their females they have Berks, Spot, Tamworth,
Oh, wow, they got a
Yorkshire,
little
and
of everything.
Landrace.
They got a
So
little
we're
everything.
gonna have a bunch of mutts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a bunch of I have no idea what they're gonna look like.
Yeah.
like,
That's half the fun.
No clue. Yeah.
And this is where we don't know. We paid for 4. We're getting 4. We were supposed to get them last Thursday, but as new pig owners, I don't have the walls and the roof on the shed yet.
Yep.
But that won't take me long. I could
Right.
pretty much finish all that Monday or Tuesday. And then that snow showed up,
Yeah.
and I sent him a quick text. I said, "Hey, look, I don't want to be panicking, but
I felt
we don't have the walls on the 3-sided
Yeah.
shed yet.
Very
And snow's
smart.
coming." And
Yeah,
he
very
goes,
smart.
we're hysterical goat parents. So I felt like just asking him what should we do? I felt
Yeah.
oh great. So now we're hysterical pig.
and he instantly
parents, too.
replied, "Let's wait another week."
Oh, yeah.
You know,
So there's a great tip there for the beginner, first time pig person. First bit of advice that I always say with pigs, and we're coming in this interview. I just did an interview with a true pig expert like a couple week or so ago. We're not when it comes to the world of breeders, we're very new, right? We're not.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't consider us pig experts, but I do consider us in the field that I could say we are experts at is raising feeder pigs to feed our family. We've been doing that for
Yeah.
years and years and years. And there are some keys. And one of the things I always suggest is if you're new to this, now you guys got a ton of farm and animal experience, so getting 4 animals and you're going to be all right. I always tell people start with 2. You can't start with 1. It's not kind of a pig.
Right.
2 is enough, right? That first year you're going to learn a lot. Maybe you want to do more, but just start with 2. It's better that way. You guys, you got more experience. A couple more ain't going to be a big deal. But your first year, and that was some advice Tom gave me. Start with 2. Go. I was like, hey Tom, I want to get 6 pigs. He's like, I won't sell you 6. You can take 2. And what he always said, which I always thought was good as my mentor, he said, listen, I want you to be successful. I don't want you getting overwhelmed because then next year you don't come back. He says, if you take 2 this year, you'll be back for 4 next year. And sure enough, Tom was right. Next year we got 4, then we got 6, all the way up to the point where we got 12 feeder pigs one year.
Wow.
And I really do suggest you don't start with breeders, start with feeders. You guys know in the goat world how complicated not only the actual birth process, but actually getting there, right? Getting the breeding to happen.
Yeah.
Choosing the genetics, choosing, all right, who are we going to go with who, and then making sure it happens right, timing everything.
Yeah.
There's a whole, if you think about the things you have to learn as a livestock owner here with feeder pigs, and then breeders, it's this much more you got to learn.
Right.
So start with feeders. Find a good
Yeah.
source who you can rely on to get you a couple good quality feeder pigs. I really suggest like what you guys did. Don't find someone on Craigslist. Find someone who's established. You guys found a big old farm who's been doing it for generations. You can go back to them and say, hey, I got a problem. And it's in their best interest to help you. So find a good, reliable source. Now, I've been doing it long enough. I could pick up a pig on Craigslist, and I've done it since. Because now I know that's a healthy pig and something wrong with that pig. But in the beginning, get yourself a couple feeders and try to find, I like to find someone who will become a mentor, someone who's willing to take some time. And it's easy to find that. It takes a phone call, right? You call the number and you start asking them questions. If they're short,
the fact that he replied to my text message, it shows you already.
And didn't just say, "Oh no, it should be fine." He actually pushed off the sale, which means he has to hold on to those 4 pigs. But it's in the best interest of the pigs that he does that. So that it's very respectable that he suggested that.
And that could have been a big problem. One year we brought back probably, I think it was about 10 feeder pigs back to the farm in Connecticut. And at that point in time, we had customers and we always took deposits. So I was sitting on a couple $1,000s worth of pig deposits. I had 10 pigs. It was a cold Connecticut, spring, freaky cold day. I brought them back in the trailer and we had some hay and we had them covered, but they were still in the open air. And sure enough, we got them home and we unloaded them into our 3-walled structure. I come out the next day and the pigs are coughing. So here's where it helps to have a mentor. I called up Tom right away. I said, Tom, my pigs are coughing. What's going on? He says, I was worried. It was cold yesterday. And he was worried. He said, I don't love someone home with you, but you've been at it. If you have any problems, call me. Well, I called him the next day. He said, they're probably got pneumonia. Don't mess around. Go get yourself some, I don't remember if it was, I forget what he said.
An antibiotic.
Yes, it was an antibiotic. It wasn't an herb. It wasn't, put it out on pasture and they'll get better in sunshine. No, it was give them an antibiotic and kick this. Because if you mess around, you're going to have 10 dead pigs and you're going to have a bunch of deposits from customers that you then are on the hook for. So we did. We gave them shots. That was an experience. There's a video somewhere on our YouTube channel where I'm giving pig shots, and it's pretty fun.
I have to imagine that giving a pig a shot is probably harder than giving a male goat a shot, just based on the thickness of their skin. Oh man, the needle.
And they're solid muscle, Pigs are just.
Well, doing an IM shot won't be that hard then. Just go right into muscle.
So now,
that's true.
One thing I feel kind of rookie about. So we're getting 4 pigs. We don't know if we're getting males or females.
Right.
I'm assuming they're going to be, if we get males, I'm assuming they're going to be intact. They're not going to spend that money or time. I don't know.
Well, that's a good question to ask. So usually if you're buying feeder pigs, generally they actually will cut them because when you get feeder pigs, if the idea is to be just raising them for the table, the person knows that's what you're getting them for. You generally, traditionally speaking, hog farmers will cut the pigs because there's something called boar taint. Have you guys heard about boar taint?
Yes.
All right. So boar taint is boar taint's a funny thing. It's kind of like how some people when they eat what's that plant that people eat and some people like it and sometimes it's cilantro. I think it's cilantro.
Oh yeah,
right?
Some people feel like it tastes like soap.
Right. Yeah. So some people, cilantro tastes like soap. Somebody like me loves it in my rice and beans. My Puerto Rican side loves cilantro. Yeah. So with boar taint, some people, if they eat the meat from an intact pig, will instantly have to spit it out of their mouth. It's disgusting. They don't like it. Whereas other people can be sitting across from the table and say, what are you talking about? It's delicious.
What's wrong with you?
If you're going to sell your pork, it's not worth the risk, right? You take deposits from people. You're giving them farm fresh, which we know farm fresh, what that means. Right. They're expecting a nice quality product. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, this tastes like stinky weird.
You stinky man. Yum.
Traditionally, traditionally, if you're buying feeders, they will be cut. Now, not everybody will do that for you, but usually a bigger operation. And I would expect
He probably will. I just never
I would
asked.
expect your feeders. I'd expect them to be wormed already, and I'd expect them to be cut already. Now, if you're buying breeders, obviously you're not going to get a cut pig.
Yeah.
If you're not sure, if you're getting Craigslist animals, oftentimes they won't be cut. But if you're buying from someone who's done feeder pigs for a while, I would be willing to bet they're already going to be cut, and they're already going to be a couple worm cycles.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely something for us to ask. I know we did ask him whether we were getting. Well, I'm just saying males or females, so I'm not going to use what is it, boar versus what's a
sow, right?
Sow.
Well, it would be a gilt until it's had babies, and then it would be a sow.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I'm not sure which one. Right. And I'm not really sure which one we're getting. And we asked, and he goes, "Well, I don't really know yet."
He said, "I don't know yet."
It's kind of like he's got.
Probably when we get there.
Hundreds of these piglets, and it's just a matter of who's coming to pick up their pigs and when, and like that decision is made, day of type of thing.
Now, have you raised females or males for feeders?
Yeah. So when it came to feeders, we would get, a little bit of everything. And generally what you have is if you're buying feeder pigs, obviously they're selecting from their stock who they want to keep for breeders. So they pick the best looking ones. All right, this guy's got the marbling I want, or the muscle I want, not the marbling. Can't say that till they're gone. This one's got the muscle build I want. This one's got the length I want. So they pull those. And then oftentimes 4-H kids will get the next best bunch. 4-H kids want that really good looking pig. They're going to show them at the fair. So the visual is important. So the 4-H kids get the really nice secondary tier. And then in come the feeder buyers who are just there. I should say, then the other people buying breeders, they want a good quality breeder pig. Then the feeders. So you get what's left. And if you're buying from someone who for years has been growing a really nice feeder pig, they're all going to be, in your eyes as a new pig owner, they're all going to be pretty similar. You're not going to notice much difference. The females will be a little smaller than the males, but also with that comes less intake, right? So the females will eat a little less, they'll grow a little less. The males are going to eat a little bit more, they're going to grow a little more. Usually you're going to get a little bit of both. If you were to say, hey, I want to have all males, maybe they're going to charge you a little bit more to select or something. We always took whatever was there, whatever Tom was giving us.
That's essentially what we're doing.
Yeah.
I was just unsure about keeping males with females. Like, what's the issue there? Are they going to try to breed? At what age are they fertile? But even if they're supposed to come, if they're supposed to come cut, that's definitely something that we'll make sure. And the whole deworming thing, because as much as we're very much on point with deworming our goats,
it's a whole
I didn't know that it's a whole other thing with pigs apparently. So,
and of course, this is something you're going to be eating, right? This is a consumption issue. So when it comes to deworming, when you're giving a shot to your goat who's not currently in milk that you're not going to ingest, you don't have to consider those things. When you're giving a shot of dewormer for a pig,
withdrawal.
Exactly. So traditionally for us, what would happen is we would pick them up, and they'd have a couple courses of worming already have happened. We would get them to the farm. And I really suggest, if you're getting feeders, a traditional pig, it's about a 6-month window. You could do it quicker if you feed them a lot and you don't let them move around a bunch, but give yourself about 6 months to get them to the butcher. At that point, usually you don't have to even worry about wormer. Now, some people will do another course of wormer when they hit the farm, especially if they're concerned about bringing something on, right? Yeah. There's the stress element. Right. We never in all our years of raising feeders had worm issues that required us to do a course of deworming. Now, I like that, because if you're like we were back then, we were brand new homesteaders. All of this was a bit overwhelming. I was petrified of giving animal shots. I always make the joke about the movie Beethoven. I don't know if you guys remember, all my millennials out there watching Beethoven when we were kids, and that scene where the vet gets stabbed by like 30 different needles. That stuck with me. So I've always been petrified of giving animal shots. The fact that we didn't have to do any worming once they arrived, the point is they were already at the butcher before it was an issue. Now, that isn't going to, you may wind up getting somebody who shows signs of being wormy, but pigs are a little hardier than goats. You guys know with goats, the goats can just drop dead from the worms. I'm sure it could happen with a pig under the right circumstances.
Yeah.
I just never heard of that happening. Basically, what you'll see is a slower growth. You'll see a sicker looking animal. He won't put on as much weight. And when you do cut him open, you'll find oftentimes the livers. You'll find some signs of worms. And our butcher would usually report back to us, and he'd tell us there were years where we didn't do no course of deworming. And he'd say, you looked fine. The livers are beautiful. And then 1 or 2 years, he did say, you know what, you did have a little bit of stuff going on. But in 6 months' time, no breeding going on, and then taking the winter off, it wasn't a big issue for us. Doesn't mean you wouldn't want to do it if you want to make sure they're primed and ready. But for us personally, it just wasn't a real necessary step for our feeders. Breeders is another story, and that's why I say start with feeders. It's just a lot.
So we're not breeding. No, we're not breeding pigs.
No. I think we're finally on the same. Okay, so we can refer back to this if it ever happens. But I think
like
we can
my
agree
goats.
Exactly.
We can agree to be on the same page about something.
Now, wait a second.
Which is a shocker.
I did see that picture. She only had one in her hand, and you know you can't just get one goat. Do you want me to show you those pictures again? I mean, I can bring them back up. I mean, they're very cute.
Oh, super cute.
There's a bunch of cuties here.
My gosh.
They are pretty cute.
So cute.
I'm glad my daughter is not currently in the studio.
Right. So you were talking about feed, right? There's a couple different methods on how to feed your pigs.
Great topic.
So some people choose to have like a dinner time and a breakfast time and a lunchtime. Other people free feed 24/7.
Right.
What are your feeding practices look like?
So when we were raising our commercial style pigs, we wanted them ready in 5 months and off to the butcher and done and in the freezer and bulked up for our customers. We would have one of those nice pig feeders that you see at, like Tractor Supply's got them. They're the big vertical feeder with the flap.
Yeah.
And those are great. They keep the feed, the flap keeps the feed nice and clean. And you can load them up with a couple bags and the pigs will go serve themselves. We let them just help themselves. We did not regulate when they would eat. We didn't keep it limited. Now, the kind of pig you are dealing with may change that. For example, now we do not do that because now we're raising pigs that come from a background of lard pigs, coonies, Idaho pasture pigs, which is the 2 breeds we currently have. There are a couple other heritage breeds that are more lard pigs. Lard pigs, 100 years ago, lard pigs were much more popular. They wanted all that fat on their pig. That fat was used for industrial purposes. Bearings on machinery, bearings on early aircraft came from pig fat. So lard was something that was precious. You come into the 90s when everything's skim milk and fat free and nobody wanted a fat pig, right? Nobody wanted to have big fat on their pork chops. So more commercial style pink pigs are a leaner pig and they don't have as much fat. So you can feed them a lot more and they're not going to get fatty because it's not in their genetics to get that much fat. If you feed a heritage breed from lard background, like a Cooney or an IPP, you can get them so fat, they can go blind from fatness.
Oh my God.
Their eyelids get fatty. And I heard people tell me stories of their Coonies getting fat eyelids to the point where they couldn't see anymore.
Oh my God. So be careful. That might happen to you.
Yeah.
It could happen to me. It could totally happen.
This COVID thing, I'm telling you.
We're getting fat eyelids.
The COVID weight is like, yes, you're going to get fat eyelids.
I will get fat eyelids.
I can't see anything.
Yeah. So we're actually doing a trough style because I built the trough already. Unfortunately, we don't have a setup where we can free feed, where we can just fill it up and just let it go. Maybe next time around.
It's something to think about.
I just couldn't figure out a way to do that yet to where we can feed from the outside without having to go in. And I haven't engineered it to figure that out.
We want to make sure
safety-wise,
like I've never been around pigs.
Yeah.
So I don't know how comfortable I will be around the pigs. So I want to make sure that I can water them and feed them without going in, just in case I'm not comfortable or my kids want to do it. And, they might not be comfortable.
Yep.
I don't know
those are great points, because with pigs you do have that element of they're big and they're strong, right? And they can the other day we were on the live stream and Kendra showed she got bit by our IPP. Unfortunately she was wearing long sleeves and it didn't break the skin. But if you do get a pig biting you and breaking the skin, that's a bad thing. Now, there's different temperaments to pigs. My big pink piggies, Tom was very, very serious about selecting for temperament. He did not want to breed a mean pig. I never, ever got bit by those. Now, they nibble you. You come over and they're investigating.
Sure.
But never any aggression because the males were all cut. There was none of that testosterone rage that they get. So we never had any issues going inside with the pigs. Even the kids used to play a game called Piggy You're It. And when they were smaller, they'd go in and they'd smack one of the piggies on the butt and then they'd run from it and the piggy would chase them. When the pig got bigger, they stopped playing. But as they get
play with
bigger,
our food too.
As they get bigger, there is more of that. Now, feeder pigs, usually you're at 250 to 300 pounds. And although that sounds like a lot, if you have good temperament and cut boars, no worries. You'll probably be in that pen, no problem. But if you do, once in a while, you could get a grumpy one. We have boars now. It's very important for us to be feeding from the other side of the fence. And so what we had was the vertical feeder backed up to our fencing, our pig panels, and we had a step on the other side. So we'd step up, pour the feed over into the vertical chute, and then they could help themselves from inside. And then you talked about water. This is another great tip for beginners, something I learned from Tom really early on. Get yourself set up with some pig nipples.
We have them. So I actually watched your video again, just like 2 weeks ago. Ordered the pig nipples, built it all. It's all set up. 2 nipples, 4 pigs should be enough.
Awesome. Those things are an incredible lifesaver. The most annoying thing with pigs is water. Pigs, by nature, they want to root, which means they're always walking around with that big, strong nose. And what they're going to do is they're going to come up to the water bucket and go, what's this? And smack it and dump it over. And you're going to have to refill that bucket 1,000 times a day. And it will drive you nuts. It's pigs and water is the worst.
Now, I know when we did chickens, right? We, as babies, they were on this dish, right? The little dish that's in the brooder, and you have to dip their beaks in to teach them how to drink water because they're not raised by their moms. When you get like hatchery chicks or like if you go to Tractor Supply or a feed store and they have chicks, you have to teach them how to drink water. Are we going to bring these pigs home and have to teach them how to drink off of these nipples?
You know, a lot of times, again, if you're buying from a big operation, they're already going to be using pig nipples. So the pigs will already recognize, hey, but it's really not hard. Pigs are a curious animal. And like I said, they're always walking over and bumping into things. So day one, they're going to arrive home. And the easiest thing to do is you get one of those little rubber water dishes and you put it underneath the pig nipple. And you get the pigs, they're coming over, they're going to eat a little bit of the feed. And then they're going to be thirsty and they're going to come over and they're going to see where the water dish is. They're going to identify this is my spot for water. And all you have to do is reach your hand through and grab the little nipple. And if people
squeeze it.
If they haven't seen a pig nipple before, it's basically you got a little cylinder with a little thing shooting out of it. And the pig just presses down on it. And as he presses down on it, water shoots out. And because you guys have a concrete pad, which is awesome, the water isn't going to cause any erosion issues. It's no big deal. They're going to come over, they're going to bite on it, and they're going to get a drink. So what you would do is just squeeze the nipple when they're nearby, and they'll get there's some water. They may have first come to the dish, but as they get thirsty, they start nosing around. They'll find the nipple, a couple sprays, and they'll be little, so you can go in there with them and spray them. Pigs will learn. Pigs are very smart animals, so it does not take long to train a pig to any sort of.
You want to know what we should have done?
We can just have you go like on your hands and knees over to the nipple and just show them, like, guys, this is how you do it.
No, you know we should.
And then I'll take a picture. I'll take a picture.
We should have
live stream it.
We should have followed Ost's lead here. His pig nipple video on his channel. He installs the pig nipple while the pigs are there, and he literally says, "This is what you shouldn't do. This should have all been installed before the pigs got here."
Oh man,
that sounds like fun.
In the barn, he's hooking up the water nipple, and to your point, I'm listening to you ask him this question: Will the pigs know where the nipple is? I was like, you need to go watch his video. The minute he doesn't even have the screws on the wall yet, and the pigs are drinking from it.
They're very curious, and they.
That was a couple of years ago. That video.
Oh that I remember that day, and that was our first. The first time we ever brought pigs on early to the farm, and we actually put them in a barn. So I didn't have
You put them
nipples
in the
set up.
barn. Yep.
And so I had to build it that day, made the mistake of waiting until they were there. And the whole time you're working around pigs, they're munching on you. They're coming over and they're nibbling. Now that's different than like biting like the pig did to Kay the other day. They're nibbling on you and the little piglets are coming over. As you're working, it'll drive you nuts because they're biting your tools and they're biting all your stuff. So get it done before they show up.
The other good part of that video, and my video of building the water system isn't out yet. That's a week or two down schedule. But my buddy Rob's over here and we're tightening down. And I'm like, the guy in the video said, if you can't get it tight, just get a bigger wrench. Because that's exactly what you said. You couldn't get it tight enough. And he goes, I just need a bigger wrench. I got a bigger wrench.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. Man. Yeah.
So now as far as feed goes, right?
Feed.
Have you messed at all with like kind of mixing a blend of your own feed, or do you go to the local feed store and just pick up a bag that's commercially made? Like, what are your thoughts about how to feed a pig to get to a marketable weight, right?
Relatively quickly.
Not a full 6 months, but maybe 5 months.
Right.
And then follow-up question is about how much scraps. Like, are you like, I mean, is it an all-you-can-eat buffet for them because they're pigs, or do you kind of portion that out?
So great questions. And so much depends on what you want to do, what you're doing with the pig, right? For example, you guys, if you're getting a more commercial style blend, although yours have a lot of heritage breed in them, those different breeds, they're like a mix of everything. But if you are getting your big pink piggies, and with feeder pigs, it's a big deal. In especially in Connecticut, the Northeast, we want to be done before it gets cold. Nothing's worse than winter pigs.
100%.
No.
So we don't want to be in December getting early snows and we still are trying to put fat on them. So to go and get these feeder pigs ready, you can do it. I mean, there are people who do it in 4 months. You can do it in 5. You want to get them at 8 weeks old, and then you put 4, 5, 6 months on them and they should be ready. For that, you definitely want to get yourself a good quality pig feed. You do not want to mess around. I do not, especially if you're new at this, I do not suggest that you start messing around with your own mixes because it's not super simple like we would expect. Like, just feed them some oats and some hay and they'll be fine. Now, the good thing about feeders is if you're not breeding them, your problems do end in 4 or 5 months. So if the worst case scenario is you have a smaller pig than what you wanted, generally speaking. But we did have an issue not too long ago, previous year, we were doing chickens and we weren't doing our own feed. We've never done our own feed, but we were trying something new because our one son has all these allergies. We were trying to gluten-free, wheat-free, corn-free, soy-free, everything free. It was basically fairy dust feed. And we had an issue.
H2O.
We had this issue where our chickens were dropping dead from not getting what they needed in the feed. So you can, if you try in the beginning to like, I'll just feed it my own little mix. It's cheaper if I buy oats myself. You might not be getting that pig what they need to actually, see their full potential. If you get a good quality pig feed, it should have all that in it. Now, not all pig feeds are the same. Not all. If you go and pick it off the shelf at Tractor Supply versus getting yourself a nice, good quality, custom-made feed based off of, maybe the people you're working with, you can get a different quality. And we've seen it over the 7 years or 6 years that we did the pork business back in Connecticut. This was really cool. We used to feed off-the-shelf Tractor Supply feed. Just go buy the bag of feed and pour it for the pigs. Pig feed from Tractor Supply. We then decided, you know what? We want a bit better of a product. Was that Aaron?
No, that was her.
Ooh, he got you. Close. No, that was Stella.
Yeah.
It was Aaron in the barn earlier.
Yeah. My chair's got a squeak, but I can replicate it. So
yeah, we heard it.
Yeah. If you can replicate it, it wasn't au naturel. Oh man.
So every year we raised them on this Tractor Supply feed. And then we decided, you know what, we want to do a little bit better quality feed. We want to get a non-GMO feed. We learned about GMOs. We thought, you know what, if we can do a non-GMO, that would be good. So we found a feed mill in New York that was doing a custom-made non-GMO feed. And they had a nutritionist there specifically for pigs, coming up with the minerals, coming up with the feed. And one of the things they did with the pig feed was they ground it super, super fine. And what the guy told me was, listen, the way pigs' digestion works, if you give them a very, very fine feed, although it will be wasted more because, it's powdery and you're going to throw it around, they can absorb it better. You will get better growth on these pigs. All right, I don't know, he's trying to sell me feed, but I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
We never had such big fat piggies. I brought him to the butcher, and my butcher, I loved this guy. He was fantastic. Little family run operation, used to raise animals himself, so he knew animals. He saw those pigs pull up. He says, Ost, you've never brought me nicer looking pigs. What did you do different? Did you get them from a different place? I said, no, these are Tom's pigs. What did you do different? I got a new feed. Usually we'd have a hanging weight of around 200 to 220. These pigs' hanging weight was 280 to 300. Same amount of time and less feed. I bought less feed. So
here's the thing is,
pig feed.
We did a little bit of research, and we're going to do exactly the opposite of what you
just said. But I'll tell you what. So some of what he said is right on.
Yes, finer.
So finer. We're using, and this video comes out soon.
We're mixing our own feed, which is exactly what you just said.
But it was a very simple.
You guys got
3 ingredients.
Remember, you guys got animal experience. We're talking like beginner. You guys got goats. You know about minerals. You know about all the fancy stuff. So it's not that you can't do it.
Well, we started out mixing our own goat feed, and then our vet was like, "Why are you doing this?" And I was like, "I don't even know." She goes, "Why don't you just go to the store and get the food that is formulated for these goats and stop mixing your own feed?" They were doing fine, but she was right. It was easier.
So it's 3 ingredients. It's super simple. It's cracked corn, and to your point, it's cracked because it's smaller and it's finer, and it's got that whole dust, concept to it, right? Not whole corn. It's soybean meal, which again is a powder. It's literally like 45% protein, and it's a powder. And then the third ingredient is calf manna, which is literally all your minerals, all your minerals in the calf manna, and it's actually mixed. The video comes out soon. It's mixed 4 to 1, so we mixed it in bulk. So like 4 bags of cracked corn, which is 200 pounds, to 1 bag of soybean meal, which is it's literally a powder. Yeah. And then only 8 pounds of the calf manna, which is the all your minerals, your irons and all that stuff. Yeah. And we found this recipe from
old time pig
guys. And that's it. It's those 3 ingredients.
And that mineral thing, that's a big importance. That's where I suggest to people don't mix your own, because people don't think of that kind of thing, right? What am I missing? You think about protein, you think about energy. Okay, I got corn, I got soybeans. This should be fine. You guys got enough experience with animals to know there's more to it than that. The thing I would say, because we used to do that. We used to do the cracked corn. We used to do all that stuff. I would say keep your numbers, right? Keep track of your numbers.
Write it all down.
Pay attention. Yeah. Okay, what do I buy in bulk this year? How many bags? What's my hanging weight? And then next year repeat. What's my hanging weight? And then try a year with
doing something different.
Something different. Because I used to, for years, I used to do, first we did the Tractor Supply. Then we started doing the well, you know what? We'll get cracked corn. That can, it's a little bit cheaper. One of the things I found with corn a lot, and I mean, this goes without saying, you'll see it on the other end, right? You look at the thick poop and there's still corn there. What the butcher said with the finely ground feed, they showed up, and of course, the first thing they do, they get off the trailer and they, take a dump.
They poop.
And the butcher said, "Look at that poop." He knew animals. He says, "There's nothing in it." He said that pig absorbed all your feed, and that's why that batch we had to buy less of it. Now it was more expensive, but we bought less. So it's one of those things. Experiment and see what works for you guys, because who knows how much do you pay, right? Do you have a local source for cracked corn you got a great deal on? Does it check out? And because there's no right or wrong. If you got cheap cracked corn and a good source for soy and you can mix it yourself, and then you get a 250-pound pig for cheaper than what you might get a 300-pound pig per pound, it's more money. Then go that route. But keep the numbers, keep your spreadsheet. I think I have my old pig spreadsheet. I think I I share that on our website somewhere where you can punch in all your numbers, and just do that every year, because then you'll know what's best for you.
Yeah.
What's best
It's
for
the
me
same
or
about
you
record
could be different.
keeping. Yeah, the record
Exactly.
keeping on a farm is like, you go back and you have data from 7 years ago. I know exactly the kids' weights for that year, goat kids, that is. I know exactly what I was feeding the moms too. And then I can tinker and be like, wow, we had a year that these kids were small. What changed? And this year, for example, all of our kids were huge. What changed? But it was, it's also the quality of the hay that was coming, out of the ground this year that made all the difference in the world, because everybody in Connecticut was having 10, 11, 12 pound babies. All of us goat people, we were like, the babies are huge this year.
All the babies were huge in Connecticut.
We don't like huge babies because that means, moms are having, can have some more complicated deliveries with just the sheer size of these kids.
Yeah, we broke a record this year for an over 10-pound goat baby.
Yeah, craziness.
And even our vet said, she's like,
I'm
seeing big babies everywhere. Yeah,
big babies and more does who were coming into heat in like January, February, March timeframe. And it's like, wait, they're seasonal breeders. They should be done in December at the latest.
Right.
Why are they coming into heat still in February? And we had, our queen, she was retired 2 years ago, and she was coming into heat still. And we're like, why? Why is this happening?
Wow.
So it's amazing to keep track of. Even just this past year was our first year where we kept track of part of our breeding notes in the fall for our girls was what was the weather that day, because we were trying to figure out, okay, so were the kids, the fertility of your male will change if it's hot out, the sperm will get hot and that's not good. Vice versa, if it's chilly, the sperm gets, the fertility of that also goes down. And then the heat stress on the does during their heat cycle can also affect fertility. So we're starting to track the weather as far as like,
the actual day of breeding.
The day of breeding, so that we can say, you know what, maybe this is why that girl didn't take this.
He's going to start doing that for his pigs now. Tracking pig weather.
We also breed by the phase of the moon. I don't know. That's like an old farmer trick.
Yeah.
We bred our rabbits by the phase of the moon because
I remember that.
I do a lot of weird reading, and somebody said that your girls are more fertile during a full moon, and they produce more girls. And
it's just more romantic lighting.
Yes. It sets the mood.
Could be what it
Little
is.
Marvin Gaye, a full moon, bing, bang, boom, you got bunnies. But I will tell you, we never got so many does out of our rabbits when we were breeding the rabbits by the phase of the moon. Ridiculous. I don't know why it works.
Crazy.
There it is. Some gravitational pull for the girl sperm. I don't know.
Stronger tide.
Stronger tide. Yeah.
So we talked about feed.
Well, I wanted to go on the other side of feed. So the grain is one thing, but then you've got your slop.
Slop, and also we do have to mention some pasture too, because all our homesteaders watching are like, what about pasture and pigs? So,
right.
The slop. Great question. Now you will hear some stories from people. I say the slop police are going to come out. Watch them in the chat, because what I'm about to say, they're going to show up. The slop police. My opinion on slop is this: if this is for you and your family, the way that the pig was such a force for good on homesteads and small family farms for decades, generations, is that they were the magic machine that turned slop, things you were not going to use, into bacon. Right? It's the miracle of the pig. So I personally want to give anything that my family is not going to eat. With kids, there's a lot of waste, right? Guys, you took 2 bites out of that apple and now it's brown. What?
Right.
Come on.
Right.
Organic apples with 2 bites in them and they're going brown.
Right.
So with slop, it's pretty much free reign for our pigs. Now, the slop police are going to come out and say, if you are selling the pork, there are some states that will regulate what you can do. Now, remember, how we sell the pork may decide how we do this. If you're selling the animal live, like, for example, you guys are partnered up with another couple families, and those are their pigs and these are your pigs, you can feed your pig whatever you want. So
Right.
if you want to feed slop, we always pre-sold our pigs. So that was so-and-so's pig. That was Joe's pig. That was Frank's pig, right? We had everybody's pig. And if Joe and Frank wanted to drop off some slop for their piggies, that's their decision. That's their pig. But if you're going to sell retail cuts out of the beautiful farm store you guys just built, Connecticut may not allow you to give them slop. So that may be an issue. So you do have to look into the slop law.
Slop in general? Because I heard it was slop that has any kind of animal protein in it. So you can't feed pigs.
Yeah, and every state's going to be different.
Chicken and that's one of the things. Right. Some people are like, you can't do that.
So now we're not selling it, obviously.
No.
We're just eating it, and the other two families are consuming it. So really, I'm not worried about state regulations. I'm just worried about hurting the pig, because I was like shocked when I read the pig can't eat potatoes. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Potatoes? Yep, you got to cook them first. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
You will. Okay, so you'll hear like a pig can't have potatoes. You'll hear pigs. I've heard pigs can't have eggplant. Pigs can't have this. Pigs can't have that thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a lot of different, things. I've never had a pig drop dead from slop. Never had any problems ever.
Yeah.
I've never had a pig get sick from slop. Never had any problems ever. Doesn't mean it can't happen. We've had freaky things happen on the farm.
Of
Maybe
course,
somebody had, they fed them an eggplant and their pig died. So, double check before you just throw your pile. Meat products. That's a great question. So here's where the homesteader side of us says, we're trying to mimic nature as much as possible. Now, we say on Homesteady all the time, the natural myth is real. Mimicking nature doesn't always yield the best results on a farm, right? We can't just mimic nature and everything is perfect. But what do pigs in the wild eat? Do pigs in the wild find a dead carcass on the side of the road and just consume the whole thing? Absolutely. Pigs are a major consumer of carrion, dead animals, roadkill.
Yeah.
So can a pig eat a meat product, a dead meat product? Absolutely. They do it all the time in nature and they're just fine. Does that mean you'll feed your pig leftover cooked chicken and it won't get some weird chicken bone stuck in its throat? Well, that probably happens in nature. So things can go wrong. So that's a personal choice. If you have meat slops that you're going to throw out, now then you'll hear the slop police will talk about, well, what about mad cow, right? Where they fed the cows meat byproducts. They fed cows basically ground up cow inside their food, and they got this weird disease. If a species, right? If you decide I'm going to feed my pig leftover, we go fishing. When we go fishing, I fillet the fish. Where does the rest of that fish go? My pigs get that fish. They love fish. The bones they can chomp up. They're not big, hard, heavy bones. They like a fish, right? They don't share the same diseases. They don't share the same worm issues. They don't share any of that. So if I toss my pig a fish, he'll be fine. Would I personally feed my pig a ham leftover? I wouldn't, because species are going to share the same worms. They're going to share the same diseases. I don't want to feed my pigs pork. Does that mean a pig in the wild isn't going to munch on a dead pig carcass? Well, what they do in the wild might be different. If someone out there has a leftover pork chop and they want to toss it to their pigs, I wouldn't say that was, I wouldn't be a slop police to them. Just not something we would do here on our homestead. But if I have a pig head and a pigtail, the pigs love, or a fish head and a fish tail, the pigs love those. So what are you going to feed them as far as, your family slop for centuries? Family farms have been giving the pigs the leftover food, the garden scraps. And that's how the pig, which is a heavy feeder, a heavy consumer, that's how the pig worked on a poor family farm for so many years.
Right.
You had one mama, you fed her the slop, she pumped out a bunch of little piggies. A couple families in the neighborhood towns got their own pig to feed their slop to, and they didn't have to spend a ton of money on buying pig feed, because when you do buy pig feed, you're going to buy a lot and it is expensive. That's one of the downsides to pigs. They're not ruminants. You can't just put them out on grass and have them get what they need with a little bit of minerals on the side. They do need more to grow like you want them to.
Right.
Now, I did hear you say you gave your pigs hay too.
Now, are they eating the hay or are they sleeping in the hay? Or
So there we go. That's another great. Let's talk pasture. Let's talk hay. Pigs will totally devour up hay. They like munching on hay. You hear about pastured pigs, and this gets thrown around a lot. And your traditional hog growers will kind of scoff at the idea of a pastured pig. Pigs are not ruminants. They're not going to get big and fat off of grass. What are you doing throwing them in the field? They're just going to tear up your field.
Right.
Pigs love eating grass. I don't care if it's a IPP or a cooney. They love to eat grass. If it's a big pink commercial hog that we used to get from Tom, I'd let him out in my garden after all the weeds grew up, and they destroy it. They'd love it.
Yeah.
They would root like crazy, and they'd leave craters, and they would destroy a nice pasture. That's why people are breeding these pastured pigs, these IPPs, the coonies.
Right.
Their upturned nose means they do less damage to a pasture. We showed a little clip on our last live stream, and we got a video coming out soon which shows at an IPP farm, what does the pasture actually look like? It doesn't look like a cow pasture. There's some bare spots. There's some spots where the pigs turned up. But the grazing style pig is much lighter on the pasture than your commercial style hog with the long pointy nose. The upturned nose doesn't allow it to do so much damage rooting. And they're a little bit lighter pigs, so they're lighter on your soil. So they can get more of their feed too from a healthy pasture. Now, not all, you guys know you have ruminants, not all pastures are the same. We, for example, have oats that we have direct sowed into our pasture. Oats are a higher quality. You can feed pigs oats. It's a high quality protein. It's not just, lawn grass growing out there. It's a good quality forage. There's acorns falling off the tree that pigs love, although you can get into trouble if you do too many acorns. But there's quality feed sources.
So now I do see, I just want to stop for a second. I do see a lot of, we have a big chat monitor up over here. See, right up here.
Ooh,
you
guys
can't
have a
see
fancy setup. I like it.
You can't see it. It's right there. It's a vertical monitor. So she can see like 400 lines of chat at once.
Awesome.
And I do see a lot of questions coming in. I know some people are like, I want to ask Austin a question.
Right.
We're going to do that in a second.
We are going to, and this is where the chaos comes.
This is where it gets crazy.
We're going to open up the questions for, we'll kind of pick through.
We'll pick through some of them.
Awesome.
But, and I don't know how much time you have either. When you got to go, you got to go. So
guys, it's big night.
It's big night. All right, good. So, but I mean, should we be throwing like weeds and grass and hay into the cement pad and just let them go at it?
Absolutely. I love doing that. Now, again, be careful. Brand new Homesteader Nature is going to fix everything. Grabbed a big pile of pokeweed and threw it in there with those pigs. And fortunately, the pigs were smart. They're like, this guy's an idiot. I'm not eating that. And I was like, why would the pigs eat that plant? I better find out what that is. Oh, it's pokeweed. I could have killed all my pigs.
Right.
So be careful. Learn about what your poisonous plants are. But if you have weeds in the garden, if you have, anything growing that they can have, throw it in there. They love the fresh greens. Just make sure you research, and every area is different. So I can, off the top of my head, tell you, avoid the pokeweed, and but where you live, there might be something different. So research, and if you don't know, ask local pig farmers. Call your local extension service. They are an awesome source. Your local pig farmers and your local extension service is going to have all your answers for your area. I won't have them.
I found Cornell actually has a whole section on, you can search by species and you can search what's poisonous to them.
Awesome.
And because in a pinch we found, it was like a birch tree or something. It smelled just like root beer when we cut it down. And I was like, so can my goats eat this? And I asked our vet because she's kind of like my go-to person.
Yeah.
And she goes, I don't know. And she's like, and I can't log into Cornell right now. And I was like, oh, well, had I known about Cornell, I would have just gone there instead. Great resource, though.
Awesome.
For lots of different varieties of what's poisonous.
You can get in trouble with that.
Oh, super trouble.
You guys know with goats, they have a tendency to find that poisonous plant and break your heart.
They do. We just went through that
Just a couple weeks ago, a gate didn't get locked last time Aaron was fired. And the entire herd, with babies and everybody, came right out there and went right over to the rhododendron bush.
They love the rhododendron. What is with goats and rhododendron?
Our kill them in a leaf.
Run to it.
We're giving them all out.
So we like
still haven't done
bought all of the activated charcoal that our vet had. We hit up all the tractor supplies and I always have at least 2 bottles of activated charcoal on hand.
Yeah, now we have like 8.
Well, when the entire herd gets out and we only had to treat 7 of the girls, which is still a lot because they needed like between the 4 doses that we gave them, it was like 50, 60 cc's at a time. We had to do that 4 times. And there was not enough on the planet.
Well, they're all still here, so
they all survived.
Not a single one of them had a symptom, but we also caught it within.
We caught it within 6 minutes of it happening.
Well, they were only out there for 6 minutes, and then within 20 minutes, we were treating.
And by the way,
20 or 30 minutes.
I'll throw this up here. Hang on, I gotta find it.
Here he goes.
Where is it? Hang on. This is my Homesteady list, so I gotta go back to our normal. This is why we saved them so fast.
Yeah. In the middle of, we were in a meeting for one of our kids.
One of those Zoom school meetings. And in the middle of the meeting, we get text messages from our moderators like, your goats are out.
Yeah.
Because we're live 24/7. So they saved our goats is basically what happened.
That's awesome.
That's what happened.
Yeah. And honestly, like, you know, with rhododendron, it takes one leaf.
We lost a couple. Yep. We lost a couple to it. And after that, we ripped them all up. We were like, you know what, this is too risky.
Yeah, too risky.
But they would run towards it. So that's the thing. You do have to be careful. And this is where we say, like, the natural myth. We do love mimicking nature on our homestead. We try to tell people like we like to as much as possible. But remember, nature is cruel. You look at the survival rate of baby deer. 50%.
We just talked about this. 50%. Oh, 50. I said it was 50%. Even less.
Yeah, and this is where some people, sometimes they give a shit because, you know, we are in the birthing stall with our goats for every single birth.
Oh my goodness. And people hate that. What is with that?
Right. Well, you know, because they don't understand, yes, they can do this. They are built for this. However, I'm not willing to go and lose one of my girls because these are my girls. They're not just goats to us, right?
Right.
I'm not willing. All that time that went into raising this girl, it doesn't even matter. I'm still responsible for that animal, and I don't want anything bad to happen to her. So I'm inherently taking a risk by breeding her. But I'm also going to then provide some measures to make sure that her pregnancy goes as smoothly as possible and her labor and delivery is as safe as possible. And I'm going to be there. And I'm going to make sure that I'm seeing hooves and a nose so that, you know, that baby and any sign that there is trouble, I'm going to investigate so that I can make sure my vet I know is a good 45 minutes away if she were home. And not already on a call somewhere else in Connecticut.
But that goes to everything, to the towels, the heat lamps, the heat barrels, the fact that you help the babies latch on the mom for the first time.
Right.
Like, we don't have to do all that. But Boss just said it. If we didn't and we just let them have babies in the barn, we'll be out tomorrow, we'd lose close to 50% of them. And deer and goats are very similar. And do you really
want to take that risk? No. It's kind of like when you're putting your money into these animals and your time into these animals, you know, do you really want to have that risk, or do you want to be successful? And you know, there's a little bit of this responsibility that we take on when we become homesteaders. Absolutely. That we, you know, just because they can doesn't mean they have to.
Right.
You know,
and if you think about, for so long, the animals we're sourcing for our farms and our homesteads, they've been bred by people with a different plan than what nature breeds for. Natural selection is a great breeder for survival, right?
Sure.
Goats in the wild have less problems with worms than our farm animals do, right? Why? Well, the goats who don't do well with worms die and they don't breed again.
Right.
Nobody gives it a drug. Nobody nurses it back to life. It dies and it stops breeding.
Right.
Goats that don't successfully have a birth die and they don't breed anymore. Our animals maybe come from a dairy or maybe come from show animals. And for years, they've been selected based off of, wow, this pig's got nice hams. Nice hams doesn't equal good mother.
Yeah.
Nice hams means good hams. So we may have to, because of the fact that we have a certain kind of livestock that has been selected for other things than maybe good birth, we may have to intervene. Now, there are homesteaders, there are small farms who are selecting for, you know, good resistance to worms, good natural birth without assistance. And we have started looking for those traits in livestock that we get. But it doesn't mean it's all going to go perfect. And
No.
nature has no problem letting an animal die that doesn't do a good job at birth. We probably don't feel the same way on our homestead. So yeah, definitely with the pasturing pigs, you can save money on feed. Especially depending on the breed. Some of the people I've been working with the IPP world have been keeping records, and they have seen as much as halving of their feed bill with good quality rotational grazing of their IPPs. So you can get some good nutrients, but that's good pasture with good management and making sure that the animals, they actually, we just did an interview at Mouse Creek Farm, and Kirsten from Mouse Creek Farm, she's an IPP breeder. She has a ton of pigs, does a great job. She doubles her minerals because her animals are on pasture. They're eating less of their feed from, the feed mill. They're getting less minerals in that regular mix. So she's gone ahead and doubled down. So it's not, again, the natural myth. We can't just let them outside and say, hey, nature's going to treat them perfect. We have to make sure if we're going to let them pasture, make sure they're not a pig in the wild would have choice of anything. It may not eat the pokeweed, but if we throw pokeweed in their pen like stupid Austin on his first batch of pigs, we may kill our pigs. I was fortunate I had smart pigs, but you can do it. So
So we have a whole chest freezer in the garage full of table scraps.
Winter slop.
From the 3 families involved. We've just been collecting. There was nothing in it. We've been I didn't get any deer this hunting season.
Me either. COVID killed my hunting season.
Oh,
He had
I
a
even
chance.
wore your hat too, and it didn't work.
Listen,
I think I guaranteed you it would work too.
I did. I had a doe 20 yards away. It was
she stomped at him,
she did.
threatened him.
Well, the hat worked, Darren. That's on you.
Yeah. So you know what it was? It was one of those hunter, 2 days into opening season, 20 yards away, looking right at me. And I'm like,
I'll wait for a bigger one.
It's too soon. I'll wait for it. Yeah. It's the only one I pretty much saw all season. Yeah. So the freezer was completely empty. And then we made the decision to go pigs. And right now you can't, a huge chest freezer. I'm talking like 6 feet long, big one.
Yeah, big commercial.
And it's
awesome.
Completely full of table scraps.
Yeah.
So I will go through it, and I'm not worried that we have like bones in there from chickens, because all the families, none of us really put that in there.
No, we definitely.
There might be a couple potatoes, but I don't think they're going to kill the pigs.
No, we definitely asked the families, we're not quite sure about the meat situation. Some people say, yeah, go for it, it's fine. Other people are like, no, it's a big no. So we're like, I don't know. I mean, in the wild, they would eat it.
In the wild, they would eat it. They're not.
I'm talking like there was a tiny portion of leftover chili that went bad. Nobody's going to eat it. I threw it in the pig slop bucket.
Right.
It's no big deal.
It's not going to make up the majority of their slop. Right.
The meat one weirds people out. And if you don't want to do it, don't do it with your pigs. Right. But me personally, I look at, and now this is one of those instances I do look at nature. What is a pig? It's an omnivore. I don't want to feed my cows ground up, pork or ground up chicken.
Right.
They're not omnivores. They're herbivores. They should be eating all plants. That's why they got mad cow disease. Right. But pigs are omnivores. They eat meat and they eat plants. So it doesn't bother me to put some meat into their diet.
Right.
Again, you make your choice of what that is and what you want to use. But also pigs are incredibly powerful. Their jaws. So you'll be amazed at what's left on butcher days. The things that I don't keep for the humans go to pigs or dogs, depending on what we're butchering. The things that are choice still, and it's amazing what they can do. So it's a personal decision. You decide what you want to do, but
All right, are we ready for the craziness to begin and open it up to questions?
I do think we're gonna unleash the babies, as we say.
So for all of you kind of new here, I'm gonna see if I have. This is how we ask our questions.
Right.
If you can throw up the question mark, the red one. If you can't find it, just throw up an emoji either at the front and at the end, so it highlights on Liz's monster teleprompter here.
Now, we're not going to be able to take all your questions.
We're not.
We're going to kind of weed through some of the questions that we feel like we haven't touched upon yet.
Yeah. I did already hear that somebody says our goats are starving because they're watching them on the
naturally
live cam.
they're starving.
And they usually eat dinner at like 7:30, so they're an hour late wondering what
I'm
happened.
sure Greta is up on her back legs hollering at the house.
She probably is yelling. At this point, she's probably yelling. Yeah, I did see a quick question come by earlier. Pumpkins. Can pumpkins make the meat sweeter in a pig?
That's a good topic. Okay, so you'll hear all kinds of stories about meat quality being affected by what the pigs eat. So here's a couple. Here's the list. You feed them pumpkins, they'll be delicious. Milk-fed pigs are going to be delicious. Nut-finished, acorn-finished pigs, going to be delicious. Okay, so what have we found as far as meat quality goes? First off, one of the reasons I love for encouraging homesteaders to get into their I really suggest pigs as the second animal. Get your chickens, then get your pigs. They're very hardy, right? So they're hard to kill. They will not eat the pokeweed. The other reason why is because of the product. Farm-raised, pastured pork, scrap-fed pork you put on concrete and fed a piggy mix from your local mill, so much better.
It's amazing.
Supermarket.
It's so pumped up with water and salt at the supermarket. It's ridiculous.
So much better.
And just so bland at the supermarket. The pork is just so bland.
Yes.
Not only that, I never knew pork chops were done wrong for so long until I saw your video where like pork chop is supposed to have this fat on it.
The butchers.
The butchers video. That was a good one.
Great. I love those guys. I've learned a lot about pigs from them. Butchers are a great source of info. Like one of the best things you can do as a homesteader is find some good butchers because they can teach you a lot. But as far as the quality of the flavor of the meat, you'll hear two things. You'll hear what they eat, and then you'll hear breeds. So here's what we've experienced from 10 years, probably 8 years of having pigs and trying. Ready? Here are the breeds we've tried. We've tried the Yorkshire Landrace Pink Pig Cross. We've tried Berkshires, we've tried Hampshires, we've tried Tamworths, we've tried IPPs, we've tried Coonies. We've tried, I think that's the gamut of ones we've tried. So
then which ones are your favorites?
For quality, for food quality?
Yeah.
All right, so for food quality, I for years did not believe heritage pigs tasted better than big pink pigs because I raised the big pink pigs. I saw the difference from commercial style pork chop from the supermarket and my big pink pigs. It was such better pork. I was like, so my big pink pigs are better than supermarket. They're just as good as the heritage breeds. I don't believe it.
Right.
I feel I was wrong. And I probably have some old YouTube videos where I'm like, it doesn't matter. Get a pink pig. Here's what I've come to learn over the later years. Now we've done a lot more heritage breeds. Pork chop from the supermarket, big pink pig, world of difference. You get more fat, better quality, tasting fat, moister, not too lean. I don't like a lean pork chop. I like some fat to keep it moist and yummy. Better marbling, the shoulder steaks. You'll get some good marbling because your piggies are moving around a lot and they're digging around in the dirt and they're having fun. So good marbling in the muscle. Going to be so much better than pork you buy at the supermarket. Going to change your mind. I didn't like pork. Now it's one of my favorite meats.
Right.
Then we go from breed-wise, we go from big pink piggy, commercial to heritage. And I now do feel personally the heritage breeds. Now there's a lot of different breeds out there. I can't speak for all of them. But the ones we've had, I do feel there is a better, a richer, more depth to the flavor. And you could compare if you've tried a lot of different lamb. Some lamb is very, very lamby. Some people like that. Some people don't. Some lamb is very, very mild. And it just tastes kind of like, young beef. So there's a spectrum. I find the heritage pork has a more flavor. It's got a yummy. I never know how to describe this, but I just think it's better. I like the flavor in the fat. I like the difference it gives the pork some life. I like the marbling you get and the fat cap you get on a heritage breed pig. So I do feel you get a better flavor from a heritage breed, but you will get less pork. So that's something to consider. You'll be just fine. I love my heritage breed pigs. You will be so happy with your big pink piggies too, though. Yeah. So for me, it's more of your source. Go with what your source has.
So when we did when we did the pig at our friend's house, right?
Yeah.
They were big pink pigs. So we didn't really notice a huge, I don't know, like.
I mean, that pig was huge too. It was pushing like
girl.
350 or something.
No, I don't think. No, I think she was like 250, which is a respectable.
Because we fed her a lot of
goat milk.
A lot of goat milk.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm excited to go from what I remember the big pink piggy tasting like to what these guys will taste like, and it's good to know. We might get a little less, but it's something that we'll get more flavor out of it, and I'm hoping more fat. Like with the pork chops, like pork chops have never been my thing because they're usually dry,
right?
And especially if you get them
chops.
And you always have to like smother them in applesauce, which is
or swanky sauce, but we won't go there yet.
Yes. So, did you guys hear my swanky sauce shout out on my recent video?
I did.
I watched it. I had to bring it into the bedroom. I'm like, hey, watch this.
Break my heart.
I know.
I love it.
He has like an old man stomach now.
It's awful.
So,
Grandpa
Oz, you're
Oz
planning on breeding pigs, right? Claudia Lopez.
This is fancy. I like this little pop-up question thing.
Right?
Yes, we are, for the first time ever, we are delving into the world of breeding. We have Kunis and we have IPPs, and we are we're trying to like dip our toes into the world, mostly because in Pennsylvania we have not been able to find a reliable feeder source. My middle son really wanted to have some piggies, and we now have, for years, we never had much winter animals. It was just chickens, wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Now we have winter animals. So as long as we have winter animals, well, what's another few winter animals?
Right.
And then we also, a huge thing we did is we added in an automatic winter pig waterer for the pigs. And that was a game changer. That allowed us to say, you know what, we can do pigs in the winter now.
Nice. Now the Kunis and the IPPs, they're small, right? How big are those guys getting before they?
Kunis are real little, and I love these Kunis.
Yeah.
They're very fun little pigs. We got them because my middle son, he's a little guy. He's turning 5. We wanted to have a pig he could be kind of hands-on with and enjoy.
Yeah.
But I do not suggest them for a homesteader looking to do food first pig operation.
Right.
If you want to have a cool little niche animal that you can, they are super expensive Kunis. Just to give you an idea, people
what are they?
Non-registered, just like off Craigslist, people will ask for a feeder, well, not even a feeder, for a young Kuni, $200, $300, $400.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. You want to buy a registered Kuni, you're spending so much more money.
Yeah.
So Kunis are they're like a hobby thing. They're not like a homestead feature family, unless it's part of like here for us, it's our son wanted them. We like the neat little breed. They live off of, they do get a lot from pasture and scraps, so there's not a big expense. You feed them very little feed, so there's not a lot of cost there once you get the pigs. And if you want to breed them, now we have a bunch of little pigs that kind of grow on air. And when we're ready to harvest one, it's like, throw it over your shoulder and walk it into the thing.
Because they only get to like 50, 60 pounds, right? They're not.
I did not weigh the ones we butchered, Aaron. I should have weighed them. But I do have to say the meat quality of the Kuni is outrageous. The foot, I don't like pork chops. Their pork chops are incredibly delicious. So they're like, it's like a delicacy.
This kind of goes into the question. Typo Queen asks, how many different breeds of pigs are there? Aren't there like hundreds? I mean, I don't know.
Yourself, what is a Story's Guide to Raising Pigs? Get yourself that and go through page after page after page after page. So many different breeds.
Oh my gosh.
I never realized that even in the goat world, there's a lot of different breeds of goats.
Yeah.
Like,
I only pay attention.
Chickens are the other one too.
Oh, chickens. Hundreds. Hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you were saying, I think this question was geared more towards us. But do you actually do the butchering yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
No,
he has that underground like butcher place that he built.
Yeah. The butcher bunker.
Butcher
Hey,
Walker.
listen, all butcher places are a little underground and a little shady. So
Yes. Yeah.
Especially with COVID now.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is new for us. We never did our own pigs. We used to bring them, especially because we were selling the meat. We just wanted to have a good USDA inspected place that took on all that liability and everything.
Right.
Now that we're doing the more homestead thing, we're not really selling meat anymore. We're kind of just doing it for our friends and family and us. We butchered ourselves, and that's one area that the smaller pig is actually a benefit.
Yeah,
It's hard to butcher a 300-pound pig. It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
Especially with the scalding. That's a huge issue. So a smaller pig, less work to butcher. That's a pro if you're doing the butchering yourself. And if you can butcher a deer, you can butcher a pig.
Yeah. Yeah, we will not. The next question's on the screen already, but we will not be butchering ourselves. We have a butcher, old back country down a dirt road. Like if you
go down that dirt road and you're like, what are we?
You're like,
are we going for butcher? Like, oh my gosh.
We got to figure out though if he's still in business. So
well, and so that's the thing is you need to really book your place early because they book up so fast. And we know somebody
in February.
Yeah, and we know somebody who got like stuck with their pigs for a couple extra months, which is just super expensive.
Yep, that will kill you. And there's diminishing returns there. You're not getting enough for what they're continuing to eat. No, that's a big one.
I'm sorry. At that point, I've butchered a deer before. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, we would have to figure it out.
I'll figure it out. I'm not going to waste the meat. I'm not going to.
Yeah. Especially because of the scalding. That's the one difference with the deer. Scalding's a big deal.
This is a follow-up question. I know we're jumping a couple questions, but Louise did ask, why do you scald the pigs?
Great question. So, and this is cool. We've actually done both on our own self-butchering. I didn't listen to all the advice, and I tried to skin a pig. And unlike an animal like a deer or a cow, they have a hide that is easy to separate. Aaron knows when you get your deer right and you start up at the leg and you start pulling
that was my job.
It was actually her.
That was my job.
Nice. All right. Well, listen,
somewhere.
Yeah.
You're pulling that hide, right? And you're cutting and you're pulling it. And you can get to the point on a warm deer, you can grab that hide
pull it down.
Right.
Like you're ripping a dress
pulling
off.
the pants off,
Pulling the pants off. And
she was a doe, so it was definitely a dress. Yeah.
It's 2021. Who knows what it was?
Who knows?
But you can separate that easy, and even a newbie can have a really nice product at the end with the hide removed, with a little bit of time and a knife. A pig has skin and hair like a human. And if you butcher a human, no, I'm kidding. I've never done that.
See?
Some of those backcountry butchers, though, who knows?
Oh my gosh.
Like a human, though, we have skin and hair. We don't have a hide. There's nothing on a pig that pulls loose.
Right.
So skinning, you have to be a master with a blade to not wind up cutting into your fat and cutting into your meat. The waste, when you skin a pig, especially if you value your lard, which you absolutely should as a homesteader, small farm, that's a huge, huge part of what you're getting back from that animal. You will lose so much of it if you skin it. In a jam, we did it. We were like, you know what? Everyone says not to, but we'll try it anyway. And you know what? I like to do things for science. I don't always listen to what everyone says.
Right.
We definitely lost a ton of the fat and some of the meat to my, and I mean, I'm okay with a knife. I'm not a total noob, but it's just really, you got to be a master to be able to skin a pig. Now, there are butchers who do it. My butcher in Connecticut was a master, and he would skin a pig. He didn't want to be bothered with scalding if there wasn't a reason to scald the pig. If it was like a pig roast pig, you got to scald it. But like if he didn't need to, he'd skin it. But your average Joe, we're better off scalding. And what scalding does is it loosens the hair, and then you scrape it, and that will pull the hair out, and it'll leave your skin and your fat intact, which is a much nicer product.
And some people want to keep the skin because that's part of, the crispy skin.
Or part of the certain cuts. Certain different cuts. Right. So I'll go back to that tail question. Dock their tails or not dock their tails?
We never ever docked tails. If you got plenty of room for your pigs and you don't have boars fighting and stuff, you should not have a problem. There are commercial farms that, again, I don't like to judge other farmers. We all love our animals and we try to make the best decisions. The whole small farm versus big ag thing, it's kind of, people manipulating people. Big ag people, they love their animals too. And there's a reason that they decide to dock tails. as a homesteader, we don't really have that reason. And I'd rather leave them the tail to swat the flies and be cute and curly.
And be cute,
Plus, they're really delicious when it's butcher day. I love pigtails, so leave them on.
So this one was pretty much what we just talked about check with the processor for getting it early.
Advance.
Yeah.
Especially in post-COVID world. We are years out. We're like a year out in Pennsylvania for getting a butcher booked. So
so hopefully we are not that far out.
Well, we do have a couple different options too.
We do.
Thankfully, we have a local option. I refuse to use them because I don't like their practices. And they're literally 5 minutes down the road. It would be so easy, but I just between how they do the actual butchering part, not butchering,
the kill, the slaughter.
How they actually do that part, I don't agree with it. It's not humane for me. And I'm a big component of, if I'm going to be responsible for that, it better be the fastest, most humane way possible. Because I'm not in the market of prolonging the process and adding more stress. So it's kind of like that process is a necessary evil in my book, because we know we're raising this for meat. Yes, they're going to have a name. That's just like, we have to, in my book, we have to give them the respect of what their purpose is on our farm. We've named all of our cows, we've named all of our chickens, all of our ducks, and someday they end up on our plate. And I remember Honey was our first pig. And our kids would ask, who are we eating tonight?
But it showed respect too, because they would eat everything on their plate.
Every last plate, because they knew, yes, tonight we're having Wellington, or tonight we're having Honey, or tonight we're having Meatball, or Stewie. We're all of these animals.
So
there's a question.
We kind of do the same thing. We name them too. If you don't want it, it's all right. But
I get this. I get the other side of it too. Like, that makes the process harder.
Right.
To me, it's yes, they did have a name, and I'm going to talk about them for years to come, because I'm sure I'm going to have stories about this process. And to me, that just prolongs the their life, and their ultimate gift to us is not just the food on our plates, but it's also the stories we have to share about them for years to come.
And that's what we have YouTube channels, right? That's great.
Yes,
So this question here, I think, comes from one of your followers, maybe.
No, she's one of ours. She just changed her name.
Oh, she changed her name.
She's in disguise now.
She's in disguise. You're right, because I was going to say, wait a second, that's a membership icon. We raise pigs, and we're told that they sense blood, they can go crazy. Have you ever heard the same?
I never heard that, and I've never experienced that. We did have when Kay got bit, it was feeding time, and she was where she shouldn't have been. She was in with them. She was trying to move some piggies, and feeding time, they start getting rough with each other. And these are boars; they're not cut. They got that testosterone, and he was like, "Get out of my way!" And he grabbed her, but long sleeves on, didn't break the skin. It was just feeding time, which is what got them worked up. But I've never heard that. Can't say yes or no to that one.
Got it.
No, I haven't. I mean, we're not up on our pig. I haven't heard that either. But I know, animals in general can sense fear. One of the things I've noticed is, since we will be trying to bring our pigs to a butcher when the day comes, if you've ever brought an animal to butcher, it's almost like they know, something's coming. At that point, how do you coerce a 250-pound animal or 300-pound animal
the trailer
to get on the trailer?
Well, that's a good question.
Okay, this is a great topic. You guys have got all the right questions. You have got to train your pig to go up. If it got to go up a ramp or in a trailer, this is a week-long process. If you try to rush it, there's a saying, you can't push a pig. I have played tug of war with a 300-pound pig, and I lost. So what you want to do is, the week leading up, get whatever you're delivering them in, get it on farm, get it close to them, start feeding them near it, start feeding them in it. And what we started doing is, the day before we were going to bring them, we would bring them in a like a landscaper trailer, or you'd have a ramp, and we'd every day we'd move up the ramp another notch with the feeder till they were up in there, and they would walk up to feed. The day before, we would hold off a meal so they were hungry. Then we would put them up 2 days before, skip a meal, let them get a little hungry, then put the feeder up in the thing for their last meal. They all go up for the last meal, close the doors, leave them in the trailer overnight because you don't want them to be on food shortly before they're being processed. So they'd get their last meal.
Yeah.
And then the morning they'd stay overnight in the trailer, and the morning of, at that point, they'd have been off feed for like 12 hours, which is generally what your butcher wants. And then we would deliver them. And at the place, the one thing, if you're trying to move pigs, you can't push them. One thing they do respect is a solid wall. So pig farmers will have what's called a sorting board. It's just a big board with handles, and they're lightweight. In a jam, you can grab a piece of plywood, or, it's just got to be solid. They respect something solid. And you can usually, with a sorting board and a chute or a funnel, move them where you want them. You can't push them, but with a sorting board and a funnel, you can usually get them where you need them to go. If they're hungry, if they're motivated, they may come for food. They may come for a treat. A lot of people use some treats with pigs. They'll train them to marshmallows and things. But definitely, loading day is a week-long process. If you wait till the morning of, you're going to be in big trouble. So give yourself plenty of time. That was great.
Yeah, I did that with the cow once. I remember that. Oh my God, it took me forever to get that cow in the trailer.
Wrestling with the cow.
Oh my God.
Awful.
That was ridiculous.
It
and then their
sense,
adrenaline's rushing. And
that's not good for the meat either. Yeah. No. I like the tip about getting them in the trailer the night before, getting their last meal in the trailer, and then that way the morning of, they're just, you hook it up to the truck and you're good to go.
That's it. So easy, peaceful. Yeah. You have all day the previous day to deal with them.
To get them in,
Yep. We've had years where we waited to the morning of, and we had to take 2 trips. Like, well, the butcher needs them now. I got one stubborn pig I can't get in. I don't know. Maybe I'll wind up having to do that one myself. Let me bring the others. So don't wait till the morning of. Get them in before.
Yeah, definitely. Here's an interesting question about for the pigs that are rooting. Have you ever tried a ring in their nose to stop them from rooting?
So
they used to do that on them.
Great question. And again, this is one of those commercial breeder, small farm, big farm, personal question, personal decision, right?
Yeah.
Is it something I want to do on my homestead? I've never done a ring. Do I think every farmer in the world shouldn't? No. There's probably farmers out there that have good reasons to use them. And again, I don't like to judge another farmer on his farm.
Of course.
On my farm, we've never used them, but they definitely are effective at preventing them from rooting. We just make sure to keep them where we don't mind them rooting. And they will, if you leave them in one spot on dirt without concrete, on dirt, they will turn it into the moon. It will look like the moon when they're done. Even in just a couple months, it'll look like the moon. So, especially your more traditional pigs with the longer snout.
I'm definitely not signing up for pickled pig's feet. I'm good.
They're supposed to be really good. I've never had it, but they are like a Pennsylvania thing. I know people. I would love to try them. I've just never had an option.
No, I never have either.
Pig's feet they're a big thing.
Wow, I have never.
But we actually do use the pig feet. A lot of gelatin in the pig feet. Kendra would usually, if she's making beans or soup, she would use the pig feet to thicken that up. We try to use. I mean, you get such a yield off the pig. We try to use everything we enjoy. We use it, almost everything.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I think that comes down to the end. Not that if anybody's still here, they don't know who's on screen.
Right.
I mean, that was a little.
I hope everybody was taking notes because that was a lot of information and a wealth of information, which I'm so grateful for because it did make me feel like we might be ready. Like,
I think we'll be fine.
We checked
off a lot
of. I just got to
put a roof and some walls on this building.
That's the easy part. That's just construction.
Yeah.
Our job is to raise some pigs.
If you are able to keep goats alive and from escaping most of the time with the help of the mods,
most of the time,
you'll be fine with pigs. Yeah. I think pigs are easier than goats.
Okay. Well, I feel like we almost killed them before we had them, though, with the whole snow and sure, we're going to bring them home and they're going to be fine. I had no idea that we could have killed the pigs. Oh man. Yeah. Because you're from Connecticut, so you know how the weather up here in April is so it can change on a dime.
Yep.
Just on a dime. We had 60,
we're
almost
hitting
70 degree
on Wednesday.
weather just a week or two
We're getting the
ago
same thing,
to snow
Yeah.
yesterday.
And we have a video coming out soon talking about this. We had a bunch of chicks die because we went from like 70 to overnight, like sub freezing, and like what? And the chicks, we lost some chicks because of it. It's crazy stuff.
It is.
Well, I thought of it. I built that whole automated waterer for the pigs, right? It's got the 2 spigots. It's a big T. It comes down. I got the hose. I got a water spigot to spray off the concrete. All this time and money and everything, and I go, oh shit! It was freezing last night.
Right, it was freezing last night.
It didn't freeze.
It didn't. Thank goodness.
Good.
You're right,
Yeah,
but I was
right.
like, oh my god, I could have lost it. Like before the pigs even showed up.
Yep.
Not even thinking you're gonna get below freezing in April.
It was one of those snows that it never went below 35.
Yeah,
it was like that wet, heavy, big
heavy.
flakes.
Yep.
Yeah, crazy. Just crazy.
Well, we pretty much covered everything, but if people didn't take notes, I got a little present for everybody here. I got a Feeder Pigs 101 course. It's pretty much what we just did, but it's like condensed to like 45 minutes. So if everybody who's here, if you're still here, I think Aaron added the link in the description of this video.
Yeah,
I taught a course for a program, raising your own homestead food program years ago, and I did the presentation on raising feeder pigs. It's pretty much like the bulletized version of this. So if you want to get all the stuff again, but a little more condensed, if you get on my email list, Aaron's got the link below. I'm going to send that out this week to whoever's. It's usually only for Homesteading Pioneers, which are our membership program. But I'm going to send it to whoever joins the email list this week. I'll send that out.
Oh, that's cool.
So, there you go.
That's something to hop on for sure.
So anybody in the chat that wants to jump on that pig education, the link should be in the description below.
Yes. And then just sign up. All they have to do is sign up with their email.
Sign up to the email, and I'll send it later this week. Once we get, because people watch the replay. I'll wait a few days and I'll send it out later this week for everybody. So that'll be for all the new villagers to the homesteading world.
Yeah. And we just want to thank your pioneers for hopping over to our place tonight and joining us here.
Let's let Billy think that.
Oh, here we go. Oh,
that's awesome.
Billy took
so
care.
Billy gives little kisses.
Yeah.
Careful, he does open mouth ones too. So
yes, Billy can get a little strange. Yep. Now our kids, I mean, they could thank us for showing up. Yes. We'll let them take care of that.
Thank you very
much. Guys, this was so much fun. I was looking forward to this all day.
So much fun.
It's always fun talking farm with you.
Yeah,
really,
it's a good time.
Thank you for educating us tonight, because it settled some of my nerves, but it also, I think we do have a little bit to learn. And really, one of my biggest fears is anytime we jump into a new animal, and remember specifically when it was chickens, when we're ripping that Band-Aid off and we're going into livestock, from cats and dogs to
chickens,
outside animals. I did so much research, over-research.
Over-research.
And then I was so scared to actually buy the chicks. Like I knew what they needed, but then just doing it, there's nothing like just, you can over prepare, right?
Oh, yeah.
But then you just have to do it and learn by doing. And you're gonna have some bumps in the roads and you're gonna learn a lot. And but as long as you're doing your best, that is, really the most important thing. So I really and go ahead.
Yeah, you guys don't forget the shoe's going to be on the other foot in about a week here. We got a new delivery coming. I'm going to be calling up. Hey guys, I got a problem.
You're right.
Anytime.
Right? Anytime. We have a little experience with goats. And we know how to keep them in for the most part.
So my daughter wants to start a soap business. So we'll have to have you guys back on. You'll have to give her the 101.
Oh, a soap
business 101.
Yes, absolutely.
Little entrepreneur. She already wants to start her own business.
Yes. So. I love that.
That's good. Our 11-year-old.
He's 12.
12. Sorry, 12. That's okay.
It's hard to keep track.
Forget.
A lot of kids.
It is. He the 12-year-old is kind of the same way around here.
I make it, he sells it. Like he he's so into he has his dad's entrepreneurial bone, you know.
He like the farm stores only open like 3 days a week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He's like, Dad, why can't we open more days? Like we can make more money. We can make more money if we open more days.
Oh
I'm like, no, that's not how it always works. You know.
I might be stealing that phrase. Analysis paralysis.
Oh, totally.
100%.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
that is what you can absolutely do. You can overthink something to the point of like not ever pulling the Band-Aid off and doing it, and for fear that you're going to mess it up. But really, just do it. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, I got one left. Let's see, one more fun one. I got to make more of these. Hang on.
Oh goodness. She looks ridiculous.
She does. I'm not a graphic designer. That
is our cow, our goat that looks like a cow and eats like a pig. We're about to find out that Moo really doesn't eat like a pig because we're about to get some pigs, and they're gonna show Moo how a real pig eats.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they will.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. And definitely, if you ever have any goat questions, soap questions, you know who to hit up.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you for having me, guys. This was
Take
awesome.
care.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my gosh.
That was a good time. Now the goats are starving. So I don't know if there's any like it's funny how long we've been doing this for this like homesteading, all that stuff, you know. Oh wow, look at that. Want to become famous? That's interesting.
That was from a Twitch.
Yeah, from a Twitch thing.
Whatever.
Yep. And you're still nervous. You know, just bringing on the new. No, not this.
Oh.
No. Bringing on the new animal. Like.
Oh yeah.
Like.
It's
It goes back to what you just said. Analysis by paralysis. At what point do we know? Do we think we know enough to move forward? Blah blah blah. Let's just go for it. It's time. You know.
It is time, and we're gonna rip off the Band-Aid.
Yep.
Hopefully, now I don't know what our new date is.
Basically, what's going to happen, so to fill everybody in, is we've got Goat Snuggles again tomorrow.
Yeah.
That does close by like 4.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on weather and my energy level, I might go straight over to the pig
if you look anything like Stella, after tomorrow, nothing's happening.
But definitely Monday, if not late tomorrow or Monday, it's straight back to the pig pen, roof and walls.
Yeah.
And then once the roof and the walls are on, I'll call the pig guy back or shoot him a text message.
Oh, I can take this out now.
And just say, hey, we're ready. When are you ready? And, you know, he said just put it off a week, which would put us at like Wednesday or Thursday again.
Yeah. I think we have to check, you know, the weather too, and just make sure at least in the next 10 days that we're not going to be dipping down.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, we're getting closer to May, so hopefully.
I think he said let's give it another week so they can get older. So they're now 9 weeks old instead of 8 weeks old or whatever. I don't know, you know, obviously the weather too, but with the baby goats, every day or every week helps them.
Yeah.
I mean, by 5-6 days in, they don't need a heat barrel anymore.
Right.
They're fine, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so we're excited for that.
Definitely.
Very excited to bring home and it's even more exciting because we don't know the cross that we're getting. We have no idea what they're going to look like. So we'll be just as surprised as you guys for really not knowing what our pigs will look like. And
right, we have no idea. So to answer this question, have pasture. No, they're not going to go out on pasture. But after doing some research, like if I mow the lawn and have a big old pile of green grass, can I throw that grass in there with them? And the answer is probably yes.
Yeah. So we're going to
do more.
Yeah, we're going to keep them on the concrete for right now because we don't have an allotted area for the pigs to.
That's one thing I never actually asked Austin. The whole like pasture. If we ever wanted to say, okay, let's let the piggies out and let them run around in the grass and the dirt. First of all, the pigs will live here. And we would have to do that way over there, like where the kids ride their dirt bikes.
Yeah, like how are we going to get them over there?
How are you going to get them that far, right? That's like 200 yards away.
A walk?
Do you take them for a walk? And then once you get them over there, how do you keep them in? Is it a temporary electric fence? I don't know. We haven't done any
So
of
we're
that.
going to take baby steps.
So
So this year we're going to raise them just on the concrete.
Right.
And we'll make sure that they've got their
Right.
feed to them 24/7, access to feed and water. Maybe throw them some hay and see how they like it. I was seeing some of the comments like my pigs don't touch hay. Other ones are like, my pigs love hay. So we'll have to see what this group of pigs enjoys.
Yeah.
And maybe some hay, especially when they're young. And then, it's really, we're going to be kind of doing all the research we've already done. The only other way to move forward is to just do it. So
right. So I got a newbie question, but I'm going to ask it and answer it. Can you explain the hay cuts? I heard Liz say first cut hay. What's the difference?
Yeah.
So first cut hay is just that. When the farmer cuts the hay for the first time of the season, it's a little stalkier and usually a little more yellow. And then second cut hay.
Think about it. It was in hibernation over the winter.
Right.
So it's much thicker stalk, and it's a little less nutrient dense.
Yeah.
So when the farmer comes by and say early summer, June, sometimes it's pushing July, depending on the rain, they cut that first cut, and it's all of last year's growth plus some of this year's growth.
Right.
And then once it's a fresh cut, now you've got second cut growing,
which is much finer and all green.
Yeah, super delicious. Usually, I don't know, I don't like grass, but the girls think it's super delicious, and they eat that so much more readily. It's like having, let's say, a cheeseburger from McDonald's versus like a filet mignon from Big Butcher. It's a big difference. Right. But it's the second cut is more nutrient dense for sure, and they just I think it's also it's sweeter for them. So they like the taste of it better.
Yeah, there's some more sugar in it. I think that's what
there is more sugar in it.
Yeah.
More protein, more calcium, more of everything. So that's why our milking does are on that now. It's why our babies are on it now, because they're growing and they're producing milk. So they're definitely enjoying the second cut.
So that question about do you get your hay from the same farmer? We normally get it locally, but this year we ended up in a pinch and we had to order it out. It came from out of state.
Yeah. We do try to get most of our hay from the farmer right down the road. He unfortunately was out of hay when we needed to stock up on some. So we did use a local hay provider who then ships it in from out of state. This year it was New York,
Pennsylvania. Some of those bales were so heavy. I think we got our money's worth. Even though they cost a fortune, we were pushing like $11 a bale for second cut.
But those bales were pushing like 75, 80 pounds.
They were huge. Yeah.
And obviously great quality because all our babies were so big. And our moms are still pretty nice and fat, even though the babies are milking the fat right off of their top lines. Yep. It's they're still pretty in good shape.
I'm gonna agree with Mel here, Homesteady. If you're still watching, thanks for all of the great info. That was good stuff. It was definitely good.
It was very informational, and he took a lot of time to share a lot of his knowledge that he's gained over the last, he
almost answered some questions like you do.
Just keeps going.
Keeps going and going. Right. Like this question was about this, but it morphs into a full story, which is good. Yeah. Those are the full story answers.
Yes. Yeah. That's the way you should teach somebody. It's not just yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Answers. You have to add, and then because you're adding this detail, it triggers your brain into and also.
And look at that. He picked up Granny Barb as a follower.
See?
That's awesome. Watch out for Granny Barb there, Aust. I'm just kidding. I'm playing jokes. I'm picking on people.
Oh, man.
It's okay. No, the village is all great.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think our goats are starved.
No.
What?
Pig and duck races? No. I think the pig will eat the duck. We're not doing a pig and a duck race.
No.
It's not happening. That does sound... Now, pig races are hilarious at the
fair?
fair, but those are tiny
They
little.
use the little pink
They
piggies.
use little tiny pink piggies.
They are super adorable.
that are like bred to race. Those are like racing pigs.
Yes, they're bred to race. Just go back over to Homesteady. He's got all the actual information. We're just spreading fake news over here.
Yeah. Okay, fine. You know what? Give me a second. I'm just gonna ask him, seeing that he's still
You
here.
can't just drop in on him like that. That's not how this is done.
All
Oh my
so-
God, he's
so
never.
Now I'm
He's
just
like,
being
I could
funny.
have been like.
Now,
Oh my God.
wait a second.
Any
Can we
number.
hear him?
Oh my God.
So
I
the
can't.
little pink piggies that they race at the fair. What are those? Are they just little
Oh
baby
my
pigs,
God.
or are they like?
You
like,
have to knock before you open the door.
Like he's the one. He's the one sitting in the green room still the whole time. I could see
Watching.
him down there. I'm like, I think he's watching
Oh
possibly.
my God.
So somebody said something about racing the pigs against the ducks,
Could you
and then I
imagine?
saw you down there, and I brought you back in. Because are there miniature pigs? Like,
Yes.
they just stay little forever.
This is
Yeah.
a hot topic.
Oh
Yes.
my God. Oh,
Mini
here we
pigs,
go.
teacup pigs. So coonies are small pigs.
Right.
yeah,
Like mini pigs and teacup pigs. Usually that's a scam. People are selling
Yeah.
you a little baby pig, putting it in a teacup and saying, look, it's a little thing. It'll stay little
Yeah.
for a month or two, and then it becomes a giant pig.
It's a 300-pound house pig.
So,
Yeah.
random fact, Paris Hilton bought a teacup pig. And
Yeah.
now she has a big, fat, pot-belly pig. And to her credit, as far as I know, she has kept it despite the fact that it no longer fits in a teacup. So,
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
Yeah, because those little pigs at the fair that race,
No, they
those are
don't
just
stay
baby
little.
pigs. They're not little pigs. They don't stay
yeah,
little.
they grow.
Yeah.
They grow fast.
Like
Yeah.
David Hamsalot or something. I
Yeah.
don't know what they call them. They have very creative like piggy names.
Oh, this is how you know we're getting late and we got to get out and feed our goats, because people are asking us if Oz looks like Tony or Land. I don't know. I don't know how far you're going with the mustache, but so during
Keep the flow
goat
going.
during
Yeah,
the
right.
goat kidding season, I did the no shave, like like the baseball
Like the
players
baseball
do.
players, yeah.
Yeah, and
He
then-
wasn't allowed to because
I
kidding
wasn't
season
allowed
was
to
going
shave.
so well. I had my lucky socks and he had his facial hair, which apparently was the only thing he hadn't changed all kidding season. He goes, "Am I allowed to shave?" I was like, "No, everything's going so well. Nobody's allowed to change anything."
all right,
My
this will
kids
be
We
won't
the
made
let
an
me.
exception for certain articles of clothing.
I think this person is going to get the last question of the evening, and then we're going to
Okay.
go out.
And
We're
then
going to
we're
let
really gonna let you go.
No,
This
no,
was-
no. We're going to just end it, because we're going to
Yeah.
let the two different homesteading channels answer this question.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So Melissa,
Uh-huh.
she's a newbie.
Okay.
She's looking for a property to buy. Any advice in general do you have for a new homesteader?
Okay, I have my answer.
Oh, we'll let Os go first
Okay.
then.
Oh man.
New homesteader
All right.
looking for a property to buy.
All right. So,
Yeah.
Melissa, first thing I'm going to plug, when you sign up to my email list, I did a course on, right?
Shameless.
business,
That was good.
I did a course on start homesteading today, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
whole lesson on picking your future homestead. Like Liz and Aaron said, I could talk for an hour on this topic. So I already did. Take the course. It's free course. It's
Yeah.
totally free. Just sign up to the email list. But basically, oh man, like how do you sum this up quickly at the end of the night?
Yeah.
What to look for in a new property? You start with your budget, right? You start with what can you get. You do not need as much land as you think you need. You can
Right.
be totally self-sufficient. Not 100%, but you can raise so much of your food on an acre or two.
Yes,
Oh, easily.
absolutely.
So don't bankrupt you're going to need to spend so much money on livestock and infrastructure and fencing and fixing fencing that the livestock broke. So don't bankrupt yourself on the purchase
Right.
and then be scrounging. Find yourself a reasonable amount. You need less than you think. Don't go for farmland. It's more money. Go for the ridge with the trees and a little grassy spot that you could cut a few more trees down and have more grass. Carve out a nook on that little homestead ridge. Less land than you think you do. Save the money for the infrastructure. And I always say this is a whole thing in the course that I did on this. Grow like the best producers in the world are trees, right? We think of the oak tree, slow and steady. Just grow a little bit at a time. Start small. because as you send those roots down deep, you'll last longer and you'll be stronger, and eventually you'll be able to produce a ton like the great oak tree. But it will take a while. So just don't bankrupt yourself. Smaller than you think, and grow slow and steady.
Yeah. So I think to go on that is find your location, right? Where do you want to plant your roots? Ideally, if you have like a town that, if you're trying to raise a family and public school is really important to you, make sure obviously that, the town that you find property in is somewhere that will work for the family. But also then make sure before you look for land in that town, check with the town zoning regulations and make sure, hey, I can't have goats unless I have 3 acres. Good. I need to make sure that I buy property that's more than 3 acres if that's my goal.
Yeah, that's a Connecticut girl talking right there. PA Connecticut, right? PA Connecticut.
Yeah. What part, without getting too personal, what part of Connecticut were you in?
Oh, we were in New Milford, town of New Milford. Very friendly to farms. But that I like no longer in my videos focused on that. I will say that, but I forget to say that we're in Pennsylvania now. It's like do whatever you want, but Connecticut, they will break your dreams and they don't care. Will. So
they don't care. No. That's and the last thing you want to do is have chickens and goats and build this little thing and then
get shut down.
The town come in and be like, you got to get rid of them. Like you're getting rid of an old couch on the driveway.
Yeah. So we started. Yeah.
My wife just texted me. We got guineas hatching live right now.
Oh my gosh!
Nice.
Our first one got out finally. Took them all day.
Oh my God. We started with chickens, and in the town right next to where we are now. But we had 2.9 acres, and we needed to have 3 acres to have any kind of livestock.
Illegal chickens.
We had illegal chickens, and I was like, well, I'm not going to go and get myself some illegal goats too. Yeah. So we packed up and moved.
We actually had to, without getting into it, because we could talk for hours on this. We wanted, when I got laid off from the corporate world during COVID, and we were like, all right, we have a foundation. We have an internet business that's doing pretty well, but can't support a family of 6. But we have a choice. I either go back to work or we pour fuel onto this fire and just turn it into a full-time gig. The rules in town were not written in a way where we were allowed to do that. So we had to make buddies with people and say, look, this is our vision. That rule is in the way. Is it possible to change that rule? And the answer was yes. We got it. It took 6 months to get that rule removed from the town.
Wow.
So we had to go in front of the board, and it was basically a simple rule that said, if you wanted to build a store, the store had to be 500 feet away from any property line. Well, 500 feet's a long way, and it wasn't possible. It's like, why? Why is there a 500-foot offset? That's ridiculous. 500 feet. We have 10 acres and 500
and we
feet,
couldn't
and we couldn't do it.
500-foot offset.
Yeah, 500-foot offset from each side didn't work, so they actually removed that rule for us. And not just for us, it's for everybody in town now. But we were the ones that kind of said that rule's stupid. Why is it there? Fought it, and then we got it removed for the whole town.
Right.
And then went on to the second phase, which was rezoning from residential to agriculture.
Wow. Man.
But you don't want to go through that. Whoever that was that asked that question, you don't want to go through all that.
It's easier to buy a property and get into this.
Yeah.
On a property that's already zoned for it and not have to go down that road of working with the town, because the town wants their money, they want their fees, they're going to take their time, they're not in a rush, they don't care that you got laid off, and want to turn this business into something that can support the family. So just get into a property that you can raise animals on and not have to ask permission.
And I would agree. We're on 10 acres. I've had this conversation with somebody this morning. We're on 10 acres, and like Ross said, we're doing this whole business between the goats and the store and everything on probably 4.
Yeah, I mean,
literally.
Yeah, when you take into account even their grazing area.
Their grazing area, the 2 barns, the chickens, all of it, it's literally 4 acres.
Yeah, and it's all surrounded. We really in homesteading, we really built our entire barns and outbuildings around our water source.
Our water source.
Yeah.
Yep. The water
Because
spigot's in the middle, and you got the
And you have
greenhouse.
yeah.
The 2 barns are on each side, and then the chickens. Yeah, it's all literally like right around the water spigot.
Yeah.
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 So that's it. That's our homesteading. Like, if you're gonna buy something,
That would be like my biggest piece of advice, speaking from like what we struggle with, because everything else will come. Like, to your point.
Yeah, one animal at a time. Like you said,
know.
go slow. Go slow. One season, do chickens.
Right.
Next season, chickens, and to your case, pigs are number
Pigs.
2. In our it's goats, but
Right.
and then the third season. All right, am I ready for a third animal? Knowing you still got to do the chickens and the pigs again, or
Right.
whatever.
Or is it a year for kind of reflecting and changing some of your practices? And
Right.
the other piece of advice is getting into it. Don't think that just because this is what I did last year that you have to do it the same way
Correct.
this year.
Yeah.
You can always change it up and find what works for you. Trial by error, pretty much. Figure out what is it gonna take, and what do we have to change up, because we're always evolving in how we raise our goats, and we've been at it for 7 going on 8 years. Yay!
Look at that.
Thanks,
Here.
Melissa.
We'll put it up there just for Austin and everybody else.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. Well, that was good.
Yeah. Now they're saying one of our villagers is saying that Moo has lost 10 pounds because she hasn't had her dinner yet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
So-
we're going out to the barn. For anybody still there, that's where we're heading now.
Anybody want to hop over to the live cam? That's where we'll be
Yep.
feeding our starved Sarah McLachlan commercial goats.
Yeah. They're like, feed me.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. The music's playing in the background. Oh.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone. Oh, sorry to scare you like that, bringing you
That
back
was
in
fun.
from
I
the
was here
green
for
room.
it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Man.
And we will let you all go.
All right.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.